How much weight can a spider web actually hold? Obviously they hold flies, but what about a pen? A water bottle? A dumbbell?
Well, I went out and bought the spider that makes the strongest webs in the world to be able to go and test it.
And without wasting any time, I let the spider loose into this massive enclosure with tons of anchor points all over the wall to ensure an enormous web could be built in here. You see, these are called golden silk orb weavers, and their silk is so strong that it's said that the military literally studied it to learn how to make bulletproof vests. Yeah, these guys are the real deal. So while we wait for this massive web to be constructed, I also want to test questions like what is the coolest spider species, can spiders walk on water, and tons of other fun spider questions, starting with what is a trapdoor spider?
Basically, the answer is they're one of the most insane animals you'll ever see.
And I instantly dropped it into a little enclosure I built for it. You see, they're called trapdoor spiders because they build trapdoors. Basically, over the course of a few hours, they dig out a hole in the ground. Then they coat the inside of that hole with a special kind of silk they produce that allows it to essentially turn into a functional trapdoor that they can surprise prey with. And while I wasn't able to catch mine building the trapdoor, the next morning I came back to find this area looking pretty different. And based off of this suspicious moss and silk tripwires, I'm pretty sure the spider set up his trapdoor right here.
So I suspect if I put a cricket in, the spider will jump out of the trapdoor to eat it.
Immediately, the cricket got to walking around, and this enclosure isn't super big, so it wasn't long until the cricket was right next to the trapdoor. Now, you see these silk lines. Like I said earlier, they are tripwires that are directly connected down to where the spider is located. So if something were to touch one of these tripwires, the spider would instantaneously know exactly where to strike. And well, guys, it is insane to see this because like 20 seconds later, the cricket walked over the trapdoor onto the tripwire, and the cricket is now it's just gone. Check out that instant replay. Oh my gosh. The fact that the spider is just born with the ability to know to do this is so insane. And if you thought that was cool, while we wait for our golden silk orb weaver to make the strongest web in the world, I still have way more fun spider questions, with the next one being, can spiders walk on water?
Yeah, you might be thinking, heck no, TerraGreen, are you stupid? If a spider walked on water, it would just fall in and drown. But I think I actually found a spider species that actually can walk on water. And I've heard that they can also do tons of other crazy stuff.
So I built it up the perfect environment with both a water and a land area to get this experiment started. Now, I very carefully let the spider loose because obviously, as you can tell, it's extremely large and creepy. And while I have a whole channel about keeping the weirdest pets, I'm still kind of scared of spiders. But eventually, the spider ended up crawling out of the container.
All right, now that he's out of that container and on the land section, hopefully he now goes and walks in the water. Let me see if maybe I can move him over there. I don't want to. Oh. He's doing it.
Yep, and just like that, the spider started to defy the laws of physics, kinda. I know it looks like the spider is just sort of floating on top of the water, but it actually has completely perfect control to be able to walk around on top, just like it was solid ground. Yeah, it's actually insane, but these spiders are able to do this because of their legs, which are covered with these super tiny water-repellent hairs that make them buoyant on top of the water.
But these guys didn't just evolve to walk on the water for nothing. They did it so they could hunt where no other spider could.
While most normal spiders just sit on a web all day waiting for the prey to come to them, these guys are active hunters and instead are able to pick up the slightest vibrations in the water to know exactly where the stuff is to attack it.
So I want to see if this fishing spider will try and dive under the water for some crickets. This should be very interesting. I've heard crickets are these guys' super favorite food, if that makes sense. Yeah, they really like them though.
Yeah, now I was gonna try and take my time with this, but you see, I accidentally dropped the cricket in, and right away the fishing spider went insane and pounced on it without wasting a single second, and the cricket was now just straight up in the fangs of this insane predator. But I didn't really get a good view of it attacking the cricket, so what I actually did was took the cricket from the spider so I could see if I could get the shot one more time. And this time the spider once again pounced onto the cricket as soon as it saw it. And obviously it's pretty creepy and you can see those legs moving. It's very scary actually. But you could see from under the water the cricket had no chance of escape, and it was now getting eaten as the spider walked up onto the land to finish eating it there.
All right. I'm super excited about the next question because it is, what is the most camouflage spider species? And well, guys, I think I found it. I got it. It's right in here.
But before I could take it out of this container, I quickly built up its enclosure. And yep, literally all we need is just some sand, and that is it. These are one of the most resilient and simple spiders in the entire world. And let's open this. Now you may notice that I was being extremely ultra careful with opening this. And that's because because this species is one of the most venomous creatures on the planet. Like, period. And if it bit me, there'd be a high likelihood I wouldn't make it. But thankfully, that didn't happen because the spider started to climb out of the paper towel and then onto the sand. Now, these are called six-eyed sand spiders. And you may be wondering, bruh, TerraGreen, how the heck is this thing camouflaged at all? Well, you see, these guys are able to camouflage by doing this. Once they find a good spot where the sand is nice and loose, they start to kick sand on top of themselves and bury themselves under it to hide here for basically 99% of its life. Now, it may not technically be camouflage, but this ability does an amazing job at hiding it. And I mean, even its legs just look like tiny little sticks poking out the sand. This does not look like a spider. Unlike other predators that use their camouflage abilities to hunt, these spiders are no different. And as soon as they detect motion, they will jump out of the floor.
So let's feed this thing a cricket. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you would have no idea that that is literally one of the most venomous things in the world.
Anyways, I went and dropped the cricket inside, and immediately he got to running around the enclosure. But little did he know, right under his feet was his doom. Well, kinda, because I thought right away the spider was gonna pop out, but the cricket actually was just straight up walking on top of the spider, and the spider just didn't care. But I think it's because this cricket was a little bit big for the spider, so a little bit later, I came back with a smaller cricket, as you can see. And well, as you can also see, this time the spider did not waste a single second to pounce onto this cricket. Nah, look at this instant replay. Imagine if that was my finger. And, well, I guess this spider is gonna enjoy his very tasty meal now. Nice. All right, now it's time for question number 4, which is what spider is the most like Spider-Man?
Yeah, might sound funny, but the answer is definitely the thing in this container. Because you know how Spider-Man can shoot long-ranged webs out of his wrists? Well, this spider species can also shoot long-ranged webs, and it's pretty crazy.
These are called long-legged spitting spiders. And as you can see, they look pretty weird because they have a massive head. You see, most spiders have their silk glands, which are the things that make silk, in their abdomen. And that's why that area is so big. But these guys got their silk glands in their head because they need to be able to shoot webs out of their mouth. But in order for them to be able to do that, they got to go and set up a little area in their tank. So I put my spider in a tank and he started to walk around, climbed up some sticks and stuff. And when I came back a little bit later, there was a little web made at the top of the enclosure. This means he was now settled in and he is ready to attack some prey.
All right, now that the spider went and made a web somewhere at the top of the enclosure, I'm gonna put in some crickets like always. And I know it's kind of a lot, but hopefully one of these guys gets shot by some webs. Let's go.
So I put them in, and while most of the crickets were kind of just walking around the grassy floor area, this one cricket started to climb up this stick that led directly to where the spitting spider was. The cricket then crawled right next to the spider, waking him up, which probably angered the spider, causing the spider to shoot his web directly onto the cricket, completely gluing him to the wall, making sure the cricket would never be able to move again. You see, not only does this web shot completely immobilize the prey, just like Spider-Man can do, but also because the web shots come from the head, it's infused with the spider's venom, meaning the web that's covering this cricket's body is seeping venom into it, which makes it even easier for the spider to consume it. And as you can see, that's exactly what the spider did. Very nice. Now the next question is, what is the cutest spider in the world?
And yes, there is a good reason I'm testing this. You'll see what I mean. But anyways, I got the cutest spider right in here.
They're called jumping spiders, and I mean, just look at them. While every other spider is evil and just straight up nasty looking, these guys are super fluffy and they got all these little cute eyes, arms, and everything about them is just lovely. Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
In fact, these spiders are so cute, they literally made an entire animated show about them called Lucas the Spider. And dang, this is pretty entertaining, but also it's not very accurate because if this is real, the spider would definitely be eating the fly.
Because even though these guys are so cute, they're called jumping spiders because of their insane ability to jump towards prey and eat them whole. Yeah, they probably aren't so cute to the prey. So you already know, I got a little home built for this guy. I went and put him inside, and I got out a cricket to feed him.
Yeah, but this cricket is pretty big for the jumping spider. So if it's able to eat this thing, that'll just show how insane they are despite being super duper cute.
Now what I did was immediately showed the jumping spider the cricket to let him know it was feeding time. And while I was showing it to him, you could see he was actually being pretty nice and wasn't just straight up attacking it. Actually was kind of backing off. So I decided to let the cricket loose, and a little later I noticed the cricket was standing literally right next to the spider. And yeah, the jumping spider just wasn't eating it for some reason. Dang, maybe that little animation I was watching was accurate, and maybe jumping spiders are actually very friendly. Or maybe mine was just not hungry right now. Actually, that probably is what it is.
But I think I'm just gonna leave that cricket in there, so when the jumping spider gets hungry, it will do that, basically. Yeah, as you can tell in this footage, it's pretty cool to watch them eat. But anyways, the real reason why I wanted to get the cutest spider in the world is because many of you know that my mom is absolutely petrified of spiders.
Oh my god!
Yeah, one time I showed her a tarantula and she was just not happy.
Math?
So hopefully this will help change her mind. Mom, can you come in here? Yo, hello there.
Hi, bud.
So I just brought you in because I know you hate spiders, right? You do hate spiders?
Yes.
So basically I just wanted to show you that I got the most venomous spider in the world.
What?
Yeah, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's the cutest spider in the world because I want to cure your fear of spiders.
Oh my gosh.
And as you can see, he's super friendly because he just, he can crawl on my arm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can see its face and I can see like red furry. No.
You want to get a closer look?
No.
And they're actually called jumping spiders because they're able to jump.
No.
Hopefully he doesn't jump on you.
No.
I'm just gonna go and put him back inside of his home. There you go. Okay, so did that cure your fear of spiders?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, dang it.
Well, I guess it was worth a shot. One day I will cure her fear of spiders. But anyways, now it's time to test the final question. How much weight can a spider web hold?
So if you remember, I went and put that spider inside of this massive enclosure. And for me, that was about a week ago. And since putting the spider inside of here, all he's pretty much done is spun some web at the back left corner and the back right corner. And yeah, he hasn't made a massive web in the middle.
You see, spiders that make massive webs like this can take weeks in captivity to feel comfortable enough to do it, just because the environment is totally different from the wild. Now, I usually would just keep waiting, but I had a flight to catch in 2 days to record another banger video for you guys. So instead, to be able to answer this question, the next morning, I had to drive out to a trail bright and early in the morning to be able to find some spider webs in the wild myself.
And guys, I brought the backpack so we can test a bunch of items in the spider webs to see what is the heaviest item they can hold.
Now, after I found this first pretty tiny spider web, I got out the backpack to take out the lightest item to test the weight of crickets, which obviously you can see this web is able to hold it just fine. Webs like this are literally designed to be able to hold insects. You see, even just this is impressive because if these spiders were scaled up to how big humans were, it'd basically be the equivalent to a human being able to make a web that could hold 125 pounds, based on some complex math, which I'm not going to go into.
All right, but we knew that was going to be able to hold a cricket. Our next item we got to test though is a $20 bill, which actually weighs double the amount as what a cricket weighs. And also it's a lot bigger, so let's see if a bigger web can hold this.
Like I said, this web is a bit bigger and it should be able to hold this even though the weight is double the amount. And after kind of finding the right place to balance it, boom, just like that, the $20 looks like it's just floating there, but it's actually being held by the web. And when ranked on our human scalability, that money is the equivalent to a human making a web that could hold 250 pounds. We're getting heavier. But the next item is this empty pen casing, which is 5 times more heavy than that money. Now, if you're wondering how the web handled against this, well, you'd probably be surprised that it actually held without too much of a problem at all. Meaning this is basically the equivalent to a human web holding over 1,000 pounds. Now, we're getting heavy.
And now the last item I've got is a water bottle, which is obviously a lot heavier and also a lot bigger than all the other stuff I've tested. And I know it's not a dumbbell like I said at the start, but hey, I'm not trying to just destroy this web for no reason at all, because yeah, that would definitely destroy it. But yeah, let's test if this can hold the water bottle.
Now, with the pen and money already weighing this web down, it wasn't looking too promising, but I still tried my best to perfectly align the water bottle in the web so it would hold, and when I let go of the water bottle, it fell apart. But remember, it was basically able to hold the human equivalent to 1,000 pounds, basically, on my super accurate human scalability. So yeah, that's pretty crazy, and the point of this video was to show you guys that while spiders can be super creepy and also super deadly, they're actually some of the most interesting and amazing animals that we gotta show our respect to. And hopefully in this video, I kind of showed you that. This is the world's largest beetle, and this is my finger. And in this video, I'll be putting to the test how strong these beetles really are. And I'll also be showing you the craziest centipede species, insane alien-looking bugs, and so many other cool insects, starting with an assassin bug. Yup, assassin bugs. And if that sounds deadly, it's because they kinda are, but they also are kinda cool. Let me show you why. So I let these assassin bugs loose into a little enclosure I built for them, and now you can get a clear look at them. What makes these creatures so cool is if you look here, they have this super weird, sharp mouthpiece. This is called a rostrum, and using it, they can pierce into their prey, inject a special kind of digestive enzyme venom into the prey, then using the rostrum, they slurp the insides of the prey up like a smoothie. It's insane stuff. And as you can see, I have multiple of these guys because I got a special kind of species that are able to live and hunt together.
You probably see why they're called assassin bugs now. So let's feed them a cricket and document their hunting.
Now I knew this wasn't gonna last long because assassin bugs are some of the best hunters out there. And I was right, because immediately this unlucky cricket happened to climb up the very piece of bark that all the assassin bugs were hiding under. And one of them was on the lookout and instantly spotted the cricket. Now it was time to hunt. Like real assassins who move super stealthily, assassin bugs do the same exact thing. And this guy extremely slowly inched towards his target, and as the gap slowly closed, the assassin waited for the perfect opportunity to pounce onto the cricket, who was now in the grasp of the assassin bug. Right away, you can see the rostrum pierce into the cricket, and yeah, the inside of this cricket is now being turned into a juicy smoothie for this assassin bug to slurp up. Yep. Sounds yummy.
All right, let me get this lid on. I don't want these guys biting me in my sleep or anything.
Okay, the next insect species is one I've been holding off on getting for a while, but it's a centipede.
Yep, I finally got one, even though they're all extremely venomous, but oh boy, let me show you this guy.
Yeah, I didn't get a small one either. I got one of the largest species in the United States, a giant Texas red-headed centipede. And as you can tell, these guys are pretty evil, because right away he started to try and climb the sides of the container to escape, which I definitely wouldn't want, because, well, we all know the infamous Coyote Peterson who gets stung and bit by everything. Well, he got bit by a very similar centipede to this, and yeah, based off his reaction, you could probably tell it's something I want to try and avoid, probably.
Just cut the cameras. But it's definitely worth the risk, because I get to show you guys how insane of a pet they are. Let me get them in this enclosure.
Now, these guys usually live in desert environments, so we're gonna use a bit of sand for this enclosure, but also a solid mix of dirt and other natural stuff, because it's actually what gives them the best conditions in their enclosure. Then we want to give this guy some nice natural stuff to hide under, and finally a couple skulls in here to signify how deadly these guys are to other insects.
All right, let's get this centipede in the enclosure. And please don't bite me too. That would be much appreciated. But, oh, he's just gonna go crawl out. Oh, it's actually pretty gentle. Go on. Yep, go crawl out. Go on. Yep, just like that. Oh, yeah.
Anyways, this dude immediately got to walking around his enclosure, and what makes these guys so cool is obviously how many legs they have. They're called centipedes because centa means 100, and they basically got like 100 legs. But not exactly 100, because I actually did count how many legs this guy had, and it was only 40. So yeah, their name is a lie, it's not 100, but I mean, it's still a lot.
It's so cool to watch these guys walk around, but it's even cooler to watch them eat. So you already know, I got a cricket. And let's not waste any time. Let's drop this thing in here.
And oh, things immediately were interesting, because I dropped the cricket directly next to the centipede's face. But thankfully for the cricket, the centipede was distracted, and so the cricket walked straight past his face and kind of just walked onto his body. And then he kind of just started to ride it like a train. Dang, bro, you gotta be careful, because this train is, well, it's definitely about to eat you, bro. I'm just gonna be honest. And I was correct, because only 30 seconds later, the centipede once again came across the cricket, and this time, the centipede definitely saw him. And so the centipede started to follow in the direction the cricket ran. And so I also followed the centipede with my camera, and that's when I saw the two met again. And this time the centipede made his attack. The cricket tried to escape through the logs, but as I looked around the corner, it's pretty clear the cricket wasn't able to escape, because he was now in the grasp of this insane apex predator of the desert and was getting munched up. Good job, centipede. Even though you are a little bit creepy, it's actually super cool to watch you hunt. Okay, we're coming up on the world's largest beetle and testing how strong they are. However, I still gotta show you the next crazy insect pet on the list, which is a giant millipede.
Now, the reason I'm showing a millipede right after showing the centipede is because they're very similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different in a lot of ways.
Now, the first way they're different is, well, you know how centipedes have that absolutely bonkers bite like I was talking about that's just extremely painful? Well, millipedes are basically the exact opposite, and they're some of the most friendliest creatures of all time.
And to demonstrate that, I'm gonna let this thing crawl on me. And oh my gosh, the sensation of like these 300 tiny little legs crawling on my hand is just so weird. I don't even know how to describe it.
But if I had to, I would just say it's a very tickly, because as you can see, each one of the legs on the millipede is almost kind of sharp, which lets it get a really good grip with what it's standing on. But yeah, it's just such a weird feeling. I even let this guy crawl on this cool snake plushie I had sitting around. And wait a second, this isn't any ordinary snake plushie. This is the brand new TerraGreen TerraGreen snake plushie that just released today. This new TerraGreen snake plushie is a massive 36 inches long, and it's awesome because it has the channel logo engraved all over it, and it's very derpy looking. And since you guys have been asking for plushies for a long time, I'm not only dropping this snake, I'm also releasing this super duper cute axolotl plushie with it. And of course, we got the logo engraved on this guy too, as the blush on the cheeks. It's so cool.
And since the snake is so long, it's kind of fun to play around with. I just swing it around my dog and wrap it around him and stuff. So I'll remind you guys again at the end of the video, but they just dropped today. So yeah, I don't know when they're gonna sell out. We only made a limited amount. So seriously guys, thank you for supporting the merch. It means so much. But seriously, let's actually get back to the bugs. I got some insane insects still planned for this video. Check them out on the store though. Yeah, let's go though.
But you see, I didn't just get some lame millipede for this video. I balled out and got the most massivest millipede of all time, called a giant African millipede, which yeah, isn't really a very creative name. They just kind of said it's giant, where it's from, and that it's a millipede. But yeah, I'm not gonna complain. I guess it's easy to remember.
Now, there's just one problem because the place I bought this from specifically said in the description, do not use cocoa fiber. Now, if you didn't know, cocoa fiber is basically like the holy grail of dirt for terrarium builders. It's just like a special kind of dirt that holds humidity very well, I guess. But yeah, it's like unheard of to not use this in a build. Like I've literally never made a build without this. Like what the heck, bro?
So since cocoa fiber was all I had, I drove to the greatest store of all time behind Walmart, Petco, of course. And there I got the special kind of dirt that is not cocoa fiber, but I also got some of this mulch stuff, which is like wood chips, and a bit of moss.
But for the secret ingredient for the millipede tank, it's this thing, which I'll show you very soon.
So when I got back home, I started mixing together all my new dirt materials. All these materials I chose are specifically designed to hold just as much moisture as the cocoa fiber, if not more, which as you can see, makes this super duper moisty.
All right, it's perfect that it's now super wet because if it was too dry, the millipede would not survive very long. They dry out super easily. So yeah, I'll have to spray this thing a lot to make sure it's always nice and moist.
But since we have to keep this so wet, mold might actually grow on the sides of the enclosure. That's where my secret ingredient comes in.
I got springtails. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you probably don't think it's that cool, but bruh, I mean, I still think they're cool, okay? Be free, boys.
Yeah, springtails are just these super tiny white bugs that will go around and clean up mold if it grows. So yeah, they're perfect. Finally, I just put in some tiny bits of cork bark around to decorate the place and add some cover.
There we go. This is a fantastical millipede enclosure. Let's go ahead and get this guy inside. Be free, boy. I hope you like your new home. Spent a long time on it. Well, I only spent like 10 minutes on it, but yeah, I hope you like it.
Anyways, after he felt comfortable enough, he uncurled up from his ball and got to exploring around his enclosure. Now, there's not really much to talk about with these guys, unfortunately, because they kind of just walk around and don't do much else. The main thing that makes them cool, and also similar to centipedes, is the crazy amount of legs they have. And the average millipede has a way more legs than a centipede, as you can see. Very nice. Yeah, my guy just wandered around the enclosure for like 30 minutes, but eventually, once he feels comfortable enough, he'll start to burrow under the floor like you could see in this footage. And he'll basically just chill there for like 90% of his life, just eating the dead organic matter or something. I don't really know, but yeah, they're pretty cool. Anyways, next up on the list, I actually got something very interesting I've never showed on the channel before. A vinegaroon.
This is the closest thing to a mutant creature on Earth I think there is. And it's extremely cool. I'll show you why.
Yeah, you heard that right. A mutant creature. And the reason I say that is because look at this thing. It straight up has the body and claws of a scorpion, a tail that looks like a rat tail, and these weird antenna things that lobsters have. Yeah, this thing is weird.
But probably the weirdest thing about this creature is in its name, because it's called a vinegaroon, and if you separate the words in there, there's vinegar and oon.
Now, I don't know what the oon part of its name means, to be honest, but the reason it has a vinegar in its name is because this creature has the ability, when threatened, to arch its back up and shoot a special acid type of vinegar out of it to spray all over the threat, potentially blinding them so the vinegaroon can get away. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And I'll be showing you guys exactly what that looks like. Let's get him in his enclosure so we can show it off. This one should work pretty well.
Now, the build is pretty simple for these guys, and thankfully I can use cocoa fiber again. Phew. But yeah, I filled about 1/3 of the way up with dirt, and then I scattered some pieces of wood and bark around. This time I wanted to add some greenery, so I tore up bits of this moss and spread that around. I love this stuff because while it might look pretty dry right now, all it needs is a nice little spray to come back to life. And yeah, this stuff will just grow super fast over time as long as I keep this enclosure nice and moist.
Anyways, Mr. Vinegaroon, this is your new home. Hopefully you like it. Let me just gently release you. Go on, can you walk out? Ooh. Sorry. Sorry.
And yeah, immediately after putting this dude inside, he ran straight up to the glass to get a nice little drink of water off the droplets sitting there. It was pretty cool to see him using his claws to shovel the drops of water into his mouth. So yeah, dang, I guess he was pretty thirsty.
Oh yeah, bro, I almost forgot. Let me get a water dish in there. Yeah, that guy was thirsty. He instantly went and tried to get some water, so I'm just gonna go put that one nice in the corner.
So yeah, I filled that up with a bit of water. With creatures like vinegaroons, you want to make sure their water dishes are very shallow, cause they're not super smart. If their water dish was too deep, they might fall in and drown. So yeah. But anyways, my guy was having a lot of fun exploring around his new enclosure.
All right, now I want to check out if this guy's gonna try and eat. Maybe he'll even shoot his acid, I don't know, but they are nocturnal, so yeah, I mean, he might not even eat at all. But you already know, I got a little cricket. Crickets love me, obviously. Let's drop this guy in. Bye-bye.
I dropped a cricket directly next to the vinegaroon, so some action could theoretically happen right away. But if you've seen my other videos with nocturnal animals like scorpions, you'd probably know that they straight up just like to not eat during the day. Yeah, they'd rather let insects crawl right next to their mouth instead of eating them apparently. But with this vinegaroon, it was a different story, because right after a minute of the cricket standing next to him, I noticed he actually started to strike towards the cricket to actually try and eat it. That means this vinegaroon was in hunting mode. And the next time the cricket came by, I noticed the vinegaroon use his little antenna to locate the location of the cricket, and then he walked over to strike it again. But unfortunately, he also missed once again. However, a bit later, I noticed that the vinegaroon had found the little water dish I put in there for him. He then proceeded to walk into the water to take a little bath, and I guess he was getting a bit more of a drink too, but the cricket was directly next to him still. And when the two creatures got a little bit closer, the vinegaroon once again struck and missed, but this time he was not going to give up and chased the cricket down to finally get a hold of it, all while splashing around in the water. But dang, bro now had an absolutely delicious, juicy cricket in his grasp, and yeah, he just started devouring it. Good catch, bro. I was not expecting that during the day.
Now, unfortunately, he didn't use his acid vinegar spray thing, and that's because I think they only use that for defense, and obviously I don't want to stress this guy out, so I'm not going to force him to do it, but I will show you guys this very cool footage of them doing it. Watch this.
So basically, like I was saying earlier, they arch their abdomen up, aim their tail up too, and boom, the vinegar sprays out right there. It's pretty cool to see it spray out, and it also has absolutely insane aim. Like here, the vinegaroon was able to spot on, hit the tweezers that was holding it, so basically any sort of predator in the wild will know not to mess with this thing if it gets sprayed. It's a genius ability from the vinegaroon. But yeah, I put a lid on this enclosure, and boom, this is a pet vinegaroon. Now it's time for the real reason we're here, to test how strong beetles really are. And of course, I have the largest beetle species in the world, but I also have this one with insanely sharp mandibles, and this one that's pretty tiny, but it also has mandibles as well.
Now, I'll be starting with the smallest beetle and testing the weakest objects in this guy's mouth. As the beetles get bigger, the objects will get bigger too. Until at the end, I'm gonna be putting my finger in this guy's mouth. Thankfully though, I get to start with this little guy. It's a lot nicer.
This is called a rainbow stag beetle. And while it's the smallest beetle I have, it's still pretty insane looking, because if you look very closely, it actually is a shiny purple color. There's not that many animals that have a purple color like this, so yeah, it's pretty cool. And I already built this guy a little enclosure, so I put him inside. Even though this place is pretty small, that's exactly how they like it, because they kind of just chill around all day and don't really move much.
Now, the first object I'm gonna test with this guy is a little pack of jelly. Technically, this won't test their strength, but I just want to show you how they eat, because it's actually pretty interesting.
Now, beetles like this are cool, because while they got their mandibles here, this is actually not their mouth. Their mouth is actually under the mandibles right here. So yeah, that's where they eat. The reason they have mandibles is so in the wild, the males can fight each other, and whoever wins the fight gets to go home with the female beetle. It's pretty interesting. But anyways, I went and put the jelly right in front of this guy. And these guys love sweet stuff like jelly or fruit. And in fact, I think this jelly is banana flavored, which is one of the beetle's favorite foods. So I thought this dude was just gonna start devouring it up right away, but in fact he seemed kind of defensive and actually started attacking it with his mandibles. But after I really kind of started to shove it in his face, I think he got a little taste of it, and then he seemed very happy because he actually started to then eat it, and it's actually very cool to see how their mouth works. Yeah, he really just sucked all the juiciness out of this thing.
So let's close this for now, and let's actually go and get out our second beetle, which is this guy. And he has way bigger mandibles.
beetles. This is called a giraffe stag beetle. So yeah, this is also a stag beetle like the one before, but a slightly different version with these way larger mandibles that, if you actually look at them, are also way sharper. And yeah, they should be able to easily crush stuff way stronger than the previous beetle. And of course, I already got this dude's enclosure built, so I put him in as well.
All right, now for the object for this guy to crush, I've got a little piece of cardboard. Oh, also, I'm gonna take the beetle out of the enclosure for this experiment. Let's go.
So I didn't waste any time, and I just went and put this piece of cardboard in this dude's mandibles. And he sort of started to close his mandibles on it, but I'm not gonna lie, it was a kind of lackluster effort. I even tried putting it in at different angles to see if he could actually crush it, but yeah, he wasn't really doing a good job. So I decided to give him an easier object to crush, a paper towel. Surely he could at least make a hole through this with his insanely sharp mandibles. But yet again, even after putting it right at the super sharp part, yeah, it didn't really make much of an impact, to be honest.
Bruh, nah, these beetles got the most intimidating mandibles. Oh, he just almost bit me. But bruh, you can't even bite through cardboard or even a paper towel, bro. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. What are these mandibles for? You can't even bite through this stuff? No, I'm just kidding though. These are actually insane creatures. They're super cool. Let me get this guy back in his enclosure. Anyways, what I'm really excited about is testing this bad boy's bite. Well, I mean, I'm not actually that excited. I do gotta put my finger in here, but let's just do this.
Yep, it's finally time for the craziest and also largest beetle in the world. A Hercules beetle.
You guys have no idea how hard it was for me to get my hands on one of these. They were out of stock everywhere, and I had to message so many people, but I finally did. It was super expensive, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, these guys live in the South American rainforests, and unlike other beetles in this video, they literally have fur on them. Yeah, that's how you know they're exotic. So that's not even mentioning they have these absolutely bonkers mandibles. Cause of what? The mandibles are basically like double the size of the body.
And I got a pretty solid sized enclosure for this guy, but I'll once again be doing this test outside the tank since they're so massive.
Now, before I put my finger in the mandibles, I first got something very close to a finger to find out the real damage I was about to face.
Yeah, I got a carrot, because you know, whenever I see videos of people like testing their fingers and stuff like car door windows or something, they always use a carrot first as like a good representation of what it's like before a finger. Bro, imagine he just chops clean through this carrot, and then I'm gonna have to put my finger in right after that. Jeez.
Anyways, I went and put the carrot in the mandibles without wasting any time. And guys, to be honest, I was kind of expecting this to rip through the carrot because they just look vicious. But after moving the carrot over tons of different parts of the mandibles, the most the beetle did was give a very light pinch to the carrot. And yeah, all it took was a bit of wiggling to get the carrot out.
Bruh, wait a second. I'm not even scared to do this anymore. Yo, that thing barely affected this carrot. I'm just gonna put my finger in right now. Hercules beetle, you don't even scare me. Let's do this.
So without wasting time, I just put my finger in. Found the perfect position to get pinched in the best way, and then the beetle started to close his horn mandible. This is a toe biter. Yeah, might sound funny, but these little bugs live in lakes and spend all day eating everything they lay their eyes on. And to humans, they're known for injecting venom into toes, causing extreme amounts of pain. And you already know, the delivery drivers worked overtime to get these to me as soon as possible. So I cut it open so I could get out the containers. Supposedly, the bugs were inside.
All right, let's see these. Oh, shoot. No, this thing's massive.
Since it was kind of hard to get a good look at them in these containers, I got out this temporary tank and put them in. I was very careful because supposedly these guys have wings, meaning they could just fly out to my toes and start biting them if I wasn't careful. Anyways, now we can really see how absolutely vicious these guys are with their insanely sharp pincher forceps that they actually use to latch onto prey in the wild. Then, using a little sharp mouthpiece they have, they inject a special type of venom into prey that turns the inside of their body into liquid that they then proceed to slurp up like a smoothie.
Yeah, I really hope these guys don't escape while making this video. But anyways, let's just build them a home and keep them as pets.
This can't go well, but the first step is to make the background of their home. To make this look good, I wanted to put this black board along the back. That way the tank would have more of this dark feel that matches how creepy the toe biters are. Then I got out some spray foam. Yep, wouldn't be a TerraGreen video without it. But this time I used the foam to connect all these pieces of cork bark along the back to add some sort of natural feel to it. I even went and covered all the excess spray foam foam with some dirt so it wouldn't be as ugly.
But the coolest thing is, as you can see, is I actually hid some of these plant pots along the top. Basically, it's gonna allow me to plant some beautiful plants in here, and it's just gonna be super luscious by the end of the video, probably.
But to really complete this backdrop, we need to add these. These are called sticks. Yep, and we're gonna put these along the back wall. If you didn't know, sticks are really cool because they grow from trees, and they're actually made of wood. I'm just kidding, guys. I know you guys all know what sticks are. I don't know why I'm explaining this. Anyways, yeah, I put so many of these sticks along the back because I really wanted to make this place look like some underwater mangrove swamp with so many roots everywhere.
I'm already loving how this is coming together, and we're not even on step 2, which is actually to make the floor and decorations.
For this build, I just wanted to use this simple gravel material for the floor. But along with it, I've also got this, which I've never actually used before. It's a little underground cave that goes up against the glass. Basically, after we go and fill up the rest of this floor with gravel, you can see this cave stays as an open area that stuff can go inside. And maybe our toe biters will come and chill in here, or maybe some of the prey we add will come and hide in here, for as long as they can, of course.
Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't add any of this aqua soil like I usually do. And well, that's because I'm not gonna put any sort of plants in here this time.
Instead, I want it to look like some abandoned swampy area with super murky water. And we do that by putting a ton of natural materials around, like this big driftwood piece coming out the middle, and then a bunch of smaller stuff, like these dead leaves, some mini pine cones, and little sticks.
But most importantly, I've got some beta miracle leaves. Oh yeah, I don't know why they're called miracle leaves, but hopefully they spread some sort of miracle around the tank, something like that, surely.
But actually, I kind of do know why these are called miracle leaves, because if I go and fill up this floor area with just a bit of water, you can see over the span of about an hour, it starts to turn into this brown, murky color. That's because those leaves and all the other natural stuff I added inside is spreading around tannins in the water, which turns it this color, and it's actually super healthy for any fish or bugs that would live in here. Dang, the more you know. Anyways, I drained that while I continued on with the build by putting in a few lava rocks and covering them in a bit of the sphagnum moss, which I also put all over the background of the enclosure.
Finally, the most important decoration is some little mini plastic boots. Yeah, because we all know at the bottom of every lake and stuff, they just got like boots and stuff. At least that's what all the fishing games I've played have told me. Yeah, I got some pretty cool decorations, as you can see. I'm just gonna put that there.
Now for my favorite part of each of these weird pet videos, the DIY decorations. And for the first one, let's make some pictures. Yup, I literally went out and bought these mini dollhouse picture frames. I'm just gonna scatter all around the enclosure with funny pictures of toe biters.
And to make some funny pictures, I gotta do some photoshopping. I'm a Photoshop master, so this should go pretty well.
First of all, I used my expert skills to make a picture of a toe biter eating one of its favorite foods ever, a frog. Yes, they actually eat frogs in the wild. Then I made this picture of a toe biter flying in the air with beautiful angel wings. Because yeah, like I said, they can actually fly with their actual wings, but they don't look as majestical as these angel wings, of course. Finally, I found this picture of what it looks like when a toe biter lays eggs. Yeah, apparently they literally keep them on their back until they hatch. So I put a bunch of baby toe biters all around this mom toe biter.
Then we just gotta go and print out these fantastical pictures. And yes, I finally got a printer at my house, so I don't gotta go to the store no more. And wait, no, what the heck is this, bruh? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I forgot you gotta buy color for the ink. Okay, I guess I gotta go to the store anyways. Please do that, by the way.
Yeah, so I drove to the printing store to get the photos instead. Anyways, when I got home, I cut out all the little images and put them inside their frames. As you can see, I obviously have the ones I photoshopped, but I also found this picture of all the toe biters' favorite foods, like insects and fish, so they can daydream about them all day. And I also found this picture on Google of some crazy person who willingly let this thing bite him. Why the heck would you do that, bro? I don't know, I just thought I had to put this in. Anyways, for the next DIY build, I'm gonna make some signs. Yep, I literally went out and bought all these random pieces of wood so I could burn some cool patterns on them with my super hot wood burning pen. With the first sign, I made it say, beware of the biter. And I even put a little bit of eye emojis at the bottom. You know, I just thought those looked cool. And then on the second sign, I made it said, rest in peace to all the insects and fish that enter this tank. Because as you know, toe biters do not take kindly to those kind of things.
And I could just go and put these inside of the tank. I kind of want them to look like signs. So I got these sticks that I use for the background, which I'm gonna go and hot glue to the back of them.
Once they dried, I stuck the two signs in the floor and got out the final sign that I was gonna make a pattern on. This time, I stuck these little wooden letters onto the sign to write toe biters. Then I completely burned all the letters black so they stood out.
All right, let's just hang that right there. And oh, that's actually fire. Hold on, wait, that's actually on fire. Oh, no, I'm just kidding, guys. It's just some editing. Yeah, don't worry, but it is actually fire. That's pretty cool.
And now the build only needs one more thing. Some plants to put in those pots that I had at the top of the enclosure. Instead, just got out these terrarium plants that I had sitting in my garage. Listen, guys, I tried to go to Walmart. I know you guys get mad at me whenever I don't, but hopefully this is good enough for you guys. And anyways, once the plants were inside, I filled it up with water, and as you can see, it turned super brown from all the tannins, of course, which is perfect. That's exactly how I wanted it. And yep, this is now 100% complete. We don't need a filter or anything because toe biters are extremely resilient to water. So the next thing is to literally just get these guys inside.
Okay, I gotta be extremely cautious with this. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna, okay, 3, 2, 1, quickly pick it up. Oh, they both fell off. No. Okay, they're swimming around. I gotta put this back on top so they don't fly out.
So I instead went with a different approach and moved the cork bark to the new tank and instead used this net to try and transport the toe biters without them flying away.
Okay, move. Okay.
Thankfully, it was a little bit more successful, so I did the same with the other toe biter, and you can see they both just swam straight down to grab onto something, and they stayed completely still. But they do this for a purpose. You see, toe biters have evolved to have the exact same pattern and shape as a dead leaf, and they stay completely still till some prey swims by them. Then they pounce on it.
So you already know, let's test the 3 food sources with these guys, starting with the smallest, which is actually mealworms, which I got right here.
Mealworms are one of the most common foods for the kind of pets I keep, so I had a feeling these guys would definitely enjoy them. First of all, I dumped one in the water with some tweezers and waved around in front of this guy. And instantly, he dashed off of his rock towards it, and it actually scared me a bit, but he didn't even actually end up attacking the mealworm. So when he found a new spot to go and rest, I did the same exact thing. And this time, he struck at it, and he scared me so much, I actually dropped the tweezers with the worm. I don't know why this scared me. I'm literally using tweezers, but yeah. Anyways, on the 3rd attempt, this is what happens. He went and grabbed the mealworm with his claws, and he actually got a good grip with it. Then he brought out his sharp mouthpiece and started finding a good spot to poke into the worm with. Eventually, he made the bite, and as I said earlier, they inject a special digestive enzyme into their prey that turns the inside of them into a liquid that they then proceed to slurp up like a smoothie. And yeah, this must have been a tasty smoothie.
All right, I'm gonna give mealworms a 7 out of 10 because those toe biters liked them kind of a lot. But next up, we got an even bigger insect. We got some roaches, baby. I think there's roaches in here. Oh yeah, right there. You see them.
I wanted to make this one quick, so instantly I put one of these roaches in front of the second toe biter, and almost immediately he pounced onto my tweezers totally, and he just like would not let go. I think he didn't even see the roach, so I just knocked him off the tweezers and tried again. This time he actually grabbed the roach, but he also grabbed onto my tweezers again and straight up just would not let go. So I kind of just set the tweezers down while he ate the roach, and you can see this guy was also absolutely slurping this up and probably enjoying it a lot.
All right. I'll give roach his 8 out of 10. It seemed like they like him a little bit more. But now it's time for the toe biters' real favorite food. Or at least that's what I've heard. You see, insects are great and all, but in order for my toe biters to be healthy and thriving, they need to eat fish because that's what they eat in the wild mostly.
And thankfully online, there's tons of websites that sell feeder fish just for this purpose. So I bought 2 of them so we can get our pet toe biters their proper nutritions. The next day, they got delivered, so I got them ready to feed.
All right, let's do this. And I even got my GoPro so I can get some nice underwater shots of these toe biters eating. Let's dump one of these fish inside.
The fish that I had put inside immediately started swimming around. But little did he know that this was the home of my pet toe biters, which were secretly sitting right next to him, watching his every move. And only a couple minutes later, he got a little too curious and started swimming near the toe biter. The toe biter was preparing to strike, but he had to wait for the perfect opportunity in order to not scare the fish away. And when the moment was right, he pounced off the rocks and missed and scared it away. Bruh, come on, I thought you were a master hunter. So instead, 5 minutes later, I decided to just help him out by feeding him with some tweezers. There you go, boy. Hope you enjoy. And yeah, this seemed like it was probably his favorite food, and he would not let go. Since it's easier and nicer to feed insects, I'll mostly stick to them, and I'll just have fish be a special occasion for when they need the proper nutrients. Anyways, this is pet toe biters. Hope you guys learned something new.
These are the most exotic insects in the world, and I have 7 of them that I'll be building homes for and showcasing their coolest abilities. To start off, the first insect I have is this giant Asian mantis. Despite looking absolutely majestic, this is secretly a monster that devours its prey while it's still alive. But to be able to see that, I need to recreate her natural environment in this little enclosure. So I built it up with all sorts of stuff like bark and moss, and soon enough, it was complete and ready for the mantis. Now, mantises actually have these little sharp spikes all over their legs, which allows them to grip onto very smooth surfaces like this glass. And because this mantis is so beautiful, I'm gonna name her something beautiful to match. So, everyone, please say hello to Birchroot. But Birchroot wasn't the only thing alive in this enclosure, as just earlier, I had put a couple crickets inside. Immediately after, Birchroot sensed them and rushed in towards the prey with killer instincts. Seconds later, the cricket was now getting crushed by Birchroot's claws and ripped apart by her alien mouth. But whilst the mantis was enjoying her meal, another cricket walked by. So she snatched that up and started to eat 2 crickets at once. Clearly, she was pretty hungry. Now, Birchroot has got to be one of the coolest insects I've ever seen. Like, seriously, she looks like King Kong right now. But there are still 6 more insane insect species I'm gonna be showing off in this video, including a cow killer that is known to have one of the most painful stings in the entire world, and I'm gonna be holding it. Yeah. But before getting to the cow killer, let's say hello to insect number 2, a metallic stag beetle. Now this is straight up an exotic insect. I mean, it literally looks like it's from the future. This species has some of the largest mandibles out of any beetle species. And honestly, those big sharp mandibles make me too scared to pick it up. So instead, I just picked it up with this plastic lid. For its enclosure, I'm using this 14 by 8 inch tank. And watch this, when I clap my hands in front of the terrarium, it's gonna be instantly built. 3, 2, 1... boom! Now that's a super clean transition. As you can see, there's tons of stuff in here like bark and sphagnum moss that will be perfect for the beetle to hide under. And speaking of the beetle, I of course need to give this guy a name. And since, you know, it's the best and coolest beetle ever, I'm gonna name him Paul McCartney. Because, you know, I just feel like that name fits him pretty well. You know, he looks like a Paul. Anyways, despite Paul having these absolutely massive mandibles, he doesn't even use them to eat prey because he's a boring herbivore. So to feed him, I just got an orange and put it inside. I also put some of this beetle jelly because I think they like eating this too. But Paul is a male beetle and he looks pretty lonely if I'm being honest. So I also got this female of the same species that is honestly a lot uglier than Paul because she doesn't even have those cool mandibles, but I put her in anyways and soon she started to wander around. Eventually, she even climbed onto Paul's back while he was sleeping, which seemed to annoy him and he got up and walked away. Not a great start to these beetles' relationship, but I'm sure Paul and this new female will eventually enjoy their home together and might even have little beetle babies. And remember, later I'm gonna be picking up a cow killer wasp, which is said to have a sting strong enough to kill a literal cow. Ooh. I hope it doesn't sting me. Anyways, as you know, we still have more exotic insects to showcase. And for this next insect, let's play a little game. When I move my camera down, you have 3 seconds to find the insect in the frame. Let's go. And did you find it? Well, probably not, because this insect actually has a very special disguise. Scattered around here is a species of insect called Phyllium philippinicums, commonly known as leaf insects. Anyways, I don't have much to say about these guys. I just think it's pretty funny how over millions of years they've evolved to look like a leaf. Bruh. I mean, they could have evolved to have huge teeth and claws and stingers, but no. They evolved to look like a leaf. Now for their home, I got this glass terrarium that's a bit bigger since we have 4 of these bad boys, which will all eventually grow to be about 5 times as big, so I needed a lot of space. I wanted to make this look like a plains biome, so I got some artificial grass, and I also put a bunch of tree branches all around the tank, so the leaf insects could pretend to be leaves, just like they were born to do. Welcome to your new home, boys. I hope you like it. Or girls. I don't know if they're boys or girls. Most of the little leaves were just walking around and enjoying themselves, but a couple of the leaf insects started praising to the gods or something by raising their hands in the air and doing some sort of ritual. Anyways, these guys' diet consists mostly of themselves. And by that, I mean they eat leaves. So yeah, they're basically cannibals. But their absolute favorite food is blackberries. So of course, I put some of those around the tank. Well, this is pretty good. I think these leaves are gonna live a fantastical life in here. Moving on to the 4th insect, we got a fierce apex predator. Not only does this insect have fangs, but he also injects a potent venom into anything it bites. Everyone say hello to one of my jumping spiders. Aww. Now yes, because technically by definition this isn't an insect, but by my definition of an insect it is. So don't comment about it. Now I'm not gonna pick up this guy with my hands because they're super fast and he'd probably just jump off my hand and go hide under the couch or something, and I don't want that. So I'm just gonna speed run his new home real quick with tons of places for him to jump around, and boom. Let's get this little guy into here. These spiders are actually one of the coolest species because most of them have the ability to eat prey up to 3 times their own size. So of course I had to challenge my jumping spider by dropping in a few pretty decently sized crickets. Immediately the jumping spider hit on this piece of wood, seemingly waiting for the perfect moment to strike a cricket. But the funny thing was that he never actually did any attacking. If anything, the jumping spider was actually afraid of the crickets because every time he saw one, he got startled and slowly walked backwards. It was actually pretty funny. So to feed him, I got a couple smaller crickets and put those inside hoping he would eat those, but it kind of still seemed like he was scared of those as well. Well, I guess this guy's just not hungry right now, so in the future, if he still doesn't eat any crickets, I'll try feeding him some smaller worms and stuff. But for now, let's move on. I've been saving the best insects for last, and coming up soon, I'll be holding the cow killer wasp, which of course is the deadliest insect out of all of them. But first, for insect number 5, let's play another game. I'm gonna build this enclosure just like this. And as you can see, I built a nice little dirt enclosure with wood and moss. So now, can you guess what I'm gonna put in here based off of the enclosure? Your options are A, a shark, B, a dog, or C, an earthworm. The answer is... If you guessed shark, you were actually wrong. The actual answer is none of these. It's D, a millipede. And yeah, technically, once again, this isn't an insect, but don't worry about it. This species in specific is a pink-toed millipede, which to be honest, I don't know why it's called that because its toes are not pink. I mean, it doesn't even have toes. If anything, it should be called a orange leg millipede, but whatever. Despite it being kind of disgusting looking, I built up enough courage to pick it up onto my arm and move it into its enclosure.
Oh nah, this feels so weird crawling on me. What the heck? I swear this is actually like stinging me right now. What the heck? This feels so weird. Yeah, get off of me. Oh.
You see, millipedes have hundreds of legs, which helps them grip onto stuff and allows them to even walk upside down. Okay, maybe it's not that cool. Now, unfortunately for this video, millipedes are the most boring eaters ever, and basically just only eat decaying matter. So I'm just gonna put some blackberries in here and, yeah, call it a day. Enjoy your home, little guy. Now for insect number 6, which actually happens to be one of our most unique ones. You see, all of the other insects I've showed live on land. Well, this one actually lives under the water. These are banded diving beetles. And despite looking, kinda lame, they are actually carnivorous killers that will eat prey way bigger than themselves. For its tank, I got this 10-gallon aquarium, and basically I'm just gonna fill it up with substrate, aquatic plants, and finally some water. Now the best things about these guys is that they don't even need a water filter since they are much less affected by variability in nitrogen or phosphorus concentration because they do not breathe. So yeah, let's put them in. The little beetles were shy to come out at first, but eventually the tank was swarming with all 7 of them. The way they swim is honestly just really cool because they got these little legs and stuff that they propel themselves with, which I guess is just kind of normal and not that cool, but now I want to show you guys how these beetles eat prey. So to do that, I got some mealworms and dropped them in the water. After a few minutes, amazingly, a beetle stumbled across a worm. So he grabbed it with his legs and pulled it all the way up to the surface of the water. When he got there, he started to absolutely devour the mealworm by sucking the life out of it. A couple more of the aquatic beetles found some more mealworms, so soon enough, the entire tank was feeding on these guys. The next day, I came back to find these little lifeless mealworm exoskeletons laying around the floor. Clearly, the beetles had enjoyed their meals. Now, this is the moment we have all been waiting for, the 7th insect, a cow killer. Well, this is just a box, but inside of it, the cow killer awaits. Now, the actual name of this is a velvet ant, but the legend has it that its sting is strong enough to kill a literal cow. Hence why people call it the cow killer. And I'm about to have it crawl on my bare skin. But before that, I need to have its enclosure finished, so I have a place to, you know, put it so it's not just stuck crawling on my arm. These guys live in the deserts and the wild, so I'm gonna quickly recreate that here by doing another super cool transition. Watch this. As I squeeze my hands in the desert, answer magically appears. Wow, okay.
This is 1,000 mosquito eggs, and in just a couple days, they're going to hatch into 1,000 actual flying mosquitoes that I'm going to be doing the most interesting experiments with, like feeding them a pool of blood. Anyways, right now, the mosquito eggs we have are dormant, but all they need to hatch is a bit of water. The second a dry mosquito egg touches water, the embryos inside absorb it and basically come to life. And literally within only a few minutes of adding in the water, check out this area right here. A tiny little white speck started to poke out from the top of this single egg. Everyone, this is a mosquito larva, also known as a wiggler. And yeah, you can probably tell why they're called wigglers based on how much they wiggle, but over the next few days, this will eat food and literally evolve into a fully grown mosquito. It will actually be one of the craziest things you'll ever see. Oh, but yeah, I almost forgot. We don't just have one, we have 1,000 mosquitoes that we're gonna be raising. And only a minute later, another wiggler started to wiggle out, then another, and soon enough, this tank was starting to get overrun with our new pets. I have to be so careful in this video. Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Literally 1,000 mosquito larvae are right here. But if we want them to turn into real mosquitoes, there's a couple things we gotta do to speed up their growth process. Of course, starting with feeding them. And I don't even know what these things eat. I mean, they're practically microscopic at this stage. Yeah. I mean, I guess let me just search, what do mosquito larvae eat? Enter. And it looks like they eat microscopic organic matter. Oh, I actually have an idea of how I could do this. This is fish food. Yeah, not super special, but for when the larvae are this small, it works perfectly to crush up into tiny little pieces. And immediately after dropping in some of this crushed food, it sank down to the bottom for the larvae to start eating. Since the larvae were just born about an hour ago, they're still so unbelievably small that it's just so hard to see, but you can kind of make out the shape of its mouth if you look very closely right here. It's insane how there's a brain and actual life in something this tiny. Anyways, you can see they tried to eat most of this food, but it's still a bit big. So once it dissolves into the water, it'll become even easier for these guys to eat it. But things get fun quickly because these wigglers more than double in size every 24 hours. So I have a feeling if we come back tomorrow, these guys are going to be a lot bigger. Good morning, TerraGreeners. I just woke up. The mosquitoes are probably bigger now. I haven't really checked though. Let me look. Wait, I haven't even zoomed in yet. And wait, you can literally see. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you can't tell by this footage, the larvae are so much bigger now. And when I turned on my camera to record them in detail, I was amazed by how much they grew literally overnight. The day before, this was the most zoomed in footage I could get of these guys. But now, the larvae almost filled up the entire frame, and look at how much more detailed they are. This black bulb at the bottom is their heads, and they're so big already, we can make out their mouth a lot easier, and we can even see their tiny little eyes. These guys are so cool, because you can literally see how their mouth works as a little boat motor essentially, and they can just use it to slowly drift among the water surface. Sometimes they'll even curl up and start sucking up microscopic food particles from the surface. Okay, well this video is all about doing the funnest experiments with the mosquitoes, so next up, I want to test their light instincts. Because if you didn't know, adult flying mosquitoes are insanely attracted to light. I mean, they'll just swarm light at night. But I was wondering if that instinct starts when they are babies. Well, to figure it out, I turned off all the lights in my garage and watched what they did. Pretty quickly, the larvae actually started to rise to the surface way more. If you remember, most of the larvae were spending most of their time together, sort of near the bottom of the tanks when the lights were on. But yeah, with the lights off, they all like to be on the surface apparently. Okay, that's pretty interesting. But now what I want to do is take this super bright studio light and position it pointing right at the side of the enclosure. So that way we can turn it on. Oh, there we go. And we can see what they do. Yeah, let's see. And literally the second after turning on this light, like magic, the larvae started to migrate away from it. And they all started to gather up on the right side as far away from the light as possible. Wait, so these guys are moving away from the light. Huh, that's interesting. The fully grown mosquitoes, they'll completely swarm light. But when they're larvae, they will completely avoid it. So to confirm my theory, I turned off this light and moved it over to the right side. And immediately the larvae did exactly what I thought they would, and they went back to the left side. Since I could kind of control where they were, I thought it'd be funny to kind of just swap the lights on and off on each side and, you know, make them do some exercise. Listen, okay, I gotta train some strong, capable mosquitoes for when I put them up against a pile of blood. It's gonna be so interesting. Dang, that is actually so cool to watch how they do that. And apparently they do this because they don't want to get eaten by fish, of course, and if they're in the darkness, then it's obviously harder for the fishes to see them. But actually, very interestingly, while I was doing
that last test. If I go and stir the floor around like that and zoom in, you can see there's tons of what almost looks like just dead mosquito larvae that is just drifting around in the water. Now, I got worried for a second. I thought something was going around killing all the mosquitoes, but don't worry. I actually figured out that these are not dead mosquito larvae.
You see, what these are actually the old skin of our current larvae. You see, these guys apparently shed off their old skin 4 times before becoming a flying mosquito. Basically, just like how other animals will molt their skin off when it's time to grow bigger.
So of course, now that I know that, for the next experiment, I gotta see if I can capture on camera a shot of them molting. Basically, what I'm gonna do is go and move my lights back to the, the back of the enclosure. And basically, that's gonna cause all the larvae to go and swim to the front. And then I can just leave my camera running for like 24 hours and surely I could capture at least one of these guys molting to get that shot for you guys.
And so yeah, I recorded this for like 2 hours, and after thoroughly reviewing all of the footage, none of the larvae actually shed their skin, unfortunately. But obviously, I was not gonna give up. So I spent hours actively recording with my camera, watching every single larvae at the water surface. Apparently, they only molt out their skin when they're hanging upside down from the top, and after about 2 hours, I found this larva. You can tell he was about to molt by the fact that he was hanging upside down for a pretty long time without moving, and every now and then, he would try and twitch to squeeze out of his old skin. If you look very closely right here, you can see his old skin starting to slide up and off, and this white part right here is his new skin underneath. But after watching this guy for like another hour, all of a sudden, he just started to float down, and he fell all the way to the floor and completely stopped moving. Yeah, apparently the molting process is actually really grueling for mosquitoes, and there's a chance that they can use all their energy while doing it and die, which I guess just happened to this guy. Rest in peace, bro. But of course, this was not gonna stop me because I kept recording for longer and longer until I eventually caught this footage. Keep in mind, this is literally the first footage on the internet of a mosquito larvae molting because of how hard it is to catch, so you can't complain about how trash this footage quality is. But anyways, you can see it started to shake violently and it started to slide out of its old skin. This dark part is his new skin, and eventually he was able to fully slide out and only his molt was left behind. It's so cool to watch this happen, and after it does, the new larvae swims away and leaves the old skin behind, which that skin will probably get eaten by another larvae very soon for some protein.
Let's go. I'm so happy we just got to see that. But in fact, I just spent so long trying to get that shot that almost all of our larvae now are pretty much fully grown, meaning yes, we're about to have 1,000 mosquitoes hatching in just a matter of days. And about that, it would be extremely illegal and just really bad if a mosquito escaped, let alone 1,000 mosquitoes. So I have a feeling it's time we build some sort of containment system. Oh man.
Now thankfully, I had this big tank sitting in my garage, which would actually be a perfect fit to put over our current tank, so when the mosquitoes hatch, they won't be able to just fly away. But obviously, there's a big opening on the bottom, which would be bad if we had to move this, all the mosquitoes would get out. So what I did was put our current tank in here while the big one was sideways. And then I got this piece of clear acrylic that I'm gonna be able to attach to the front.
And when I attach this piece of acrylic, it's gonna make sure no mosquitoes can get out. But you're probably wondering why I got all these massive holes right here. Well, what I'm gonna do is this. And as you can see, I just put mesh in each of the corners so, air can get in. But I left this hole open in the middle so I can put a little door here so we'll be able to put stuff in, but mosquitoes won't be able to get out.
It's pretty simple to make though, because all we gotta do is attach this little sleeve contraption I made and put a clamp on the end.
Basically how it works is if you want to put your arm inside, you go ahead and take off the safety clamp like that. And basically what you do is while you're holding it still, you gotta carefully stretch your arm inside, and then boom, when it's around your arm, it's very airtight and you can go ahead and put your arm inside. And you see I have access to here and the mosquitoes won't be able to get out, and it's very easy to go and take my arm out, keep it shut, and then I can go and put the clamp back on.
And after I had my dad silicone the acrylic on, boom, this containment system is done. But guys, there's actually something I didn't tell you about these mosquitoes. In their life cycles, there's a whole nother stage of life before becoming mosquitoes that lasts about a day. And when I came back the next day to my tank, I noticed they were already entering it.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at what I just saw. Take a look at the larvae in here. You see these little circular things swimming around next to the actual larvae? Those are the pupae, and that means they're about to hatch.
You see, these pupae are also called tumblers because, well, they tumble down when they sense potential danger nearby. But the coolest thing is how these guys look. They got these weird, scary looking eyes. They got little horns that act as snorkels for oxygen. And of course, they look way different from a larva with that cool shrimp-shaped body. And if you're wondering how it looks when a larva turns into a pupae, well, this awesome footage from Backyard Bugs shows it. Basically, Basically, the skin splits at the thorax area, and very similarly to how the larvae molt, the new pupae will slide out, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yes, sir. These guys are so cool, but we haven't even got to see the coolest part where they literally crawl out the pupae, and it's like an alien movie. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't think that shot's gonna be too hard to get because we're on like day 8, and check what has just started to hatch. Yep, that is a mosquito, meaning there's like 3 mosquitoes in here right now, so it shouldn't be long till we have much more.
You see, the pupae get darker and darker as they get closer to turning into a mosquito. So since this pupae is bright white, I know he won't be hatching anytime soon, but these pupae here are extremely dark, meaning the mosquito is right under that skin, ready to crawl out.
So to make the shot even easier to get, I'm gonna suck all the darkest pupae up into this little pipette and put them in this container to make it easier to record.
Now, since the mosquitoes have already started to hatch, I actually had to use the door I made to get my hand inside so they wouldn't escape, and I used my little pipette to start sucking up as many of the dark pupae as I could. Then I put them into a temporary container and I started to film. Thankfully, the pupae hatched within only a few hours of turning black, so it was literally only about an hour of recording till I caught this on camera. Out of nowhere, this pupa here started to straighten out its tail. This makes a little tunnel here for the head of the mosquito to start squeezing out. It's so nasty, but you can see how this area here just keeps inflating. The mosquito is literally being born in front of our eyes, and you can see how it's leaving the clear pupa skin behind. All of a sudden, his little mouth pops out here that they use to suck blood, and soon after, you can see his wings popped out as well.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is insane. Wait, this is happening right now.
Finally, the legs stop sticking to the body, and bada bing, bada boom, that's how a mosquito is born. They'll basically stand here for like half an hour while they wait for their body and wings to harden up.
Unfortunately, I am not allowed to just let this guy fly out. Yeah, when you hatch mosquitoes in your house, it is just illegal to let them escape. So I'm gonna try and move them into this tank, but if I can't do it, I do have this here.
But thankfully, I didn't have to use that since it was super easy to just grab it with tweezers and let it loose in the containment system. W mosquitoes, bro. That was one of the coolest things I have seen.
Well, guys, it's been another few days, and I'm proud to say we have 100+ mosquitoes now. I mean, we got tons just flying around. We got even more just sitting all over the glass. And that's not even to mention all the mosquitoes just hiding around.
Now, I can test these guys with my last 2 mosquito experiments, starting with sticking my hand inside of the tank of mosquitoes.
But in addition to my hand going in there, I've also got a couple kinds of mosquito repellent. So we can test if these things actually work. I am definitely about to get bit.
So I started to apply the first mosquito repellent to my arm by spraying it. You see, mosquitoes are insanely attracted to the scent and heat of human skin, but somehow the spray stuff completely blocks all of those and messes with the mosquito senses.
Theoretically, when I stick my hand in there, I shouldn't get bit. Well, I guess let's just do this.
And as I stuck my hand in, I got very nervous. I hate mosquito bites.
They're flying very close, but yeah, I don't think they can even sense that this is a hand right now.
Yeah, I literally left my hand in there another 30 seconds and not a single mosquito even landed on it. When normally they would definitely be swarming it.
Dang, this stuff works good. If you need some mosquito repellent, I recommend this brand. It's not sponsored or anything, but it's pretty good. But now the second mosquito repellent I want to test. Well, you see this app right here? This app claims to literally make a sound that will repel mosquitoes. Oh, do you hear that? It's like a high-pitched buzz. Okay, well, let's see if this works.
Now I've heard these apps are myths, but as I put my hand inside, the mosquitoes weren't instantly swarming it. In fact, they were acting kind of similar to earlier when I was testing the spray stuff, even though I had thoroughly washed it all off my hand. Maybe these apps actually do work. That was until I found this when I took my hand out.
Okay, for a second, I thought this app actually worked. Well, let me turn off this ear-piercing sound. But then I realized I actually got bit like right there. Yeah, I can definitely feel it. It's starting to itch and stuff. Don't use these apps, guys. I can assure you they are fake, but I guess this stuff kind of does work.
Anyways, now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Mosquitoes versus blood.
And yes, I actually have a jar of blood from a cow. Oh my gosh.
Now, in order to make this have a chance to work, I had to fill up this little container with a bunch of blood, and then I put some saran wrap on top. This way, the mosquitoes could stick their little mouthpiece through it and get filled up with blood if they're hungry. Finally, I just warmed it up in the microwave so it would recreate the temperature that mosquitoes like, and I put it inside the tank. Let's see what these mosquitoes do. Now, for the first like 20 minutes, pretty much none of the 100 mosquitoes were interested. They were kind of just hiding around and not moving much, so I kept trying tons of new stuff, like dimming the lights, because apparently mosquitoes don't like to eat under the bright light, and after trying so much stuff, stuff and recording for hours, not a singular mosquito tried to eat this blood. In this cool footage, you can see mosquitoes literally only take a couple seconds to land on an arm and get completely filled up with blood. But for some reason, they only like to drink blood from arms and not just liquid blood, apparently, like we have here. Literally all the mosquitoes had gathered up on the other side of the enclosure to avoid it.
Yeah, I literally just tried to record this for 2 days. None of the mosquitoes were interested. I didn't want to have to not upload the video just because the last experiment failed, which was just so interesting to watch, so I had to upload this. Hopefully you guys learned something new and were entertained. And about these mosquitoes, I had to buy this massive freezer to terminate the colony, because that's just legally required after filming with mosquitoes, to ensure none of them escape. So I'm gonna get to doing that, guys, but I guess see you later. Goodbye. I'm gonna buy 2 of these things. Let's just get this checked out.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, show off everything about keeping a pet leech, and literally let them suck on my arm. Yes, I am not kidding. I'm gonna let them do that, and I might get some unknown deadly virus. This is easily gonna be my weirdest pet. Anyways, until the leeches got delivered, I got out a 20-gallon aquarium and a ton of rocks to get its enclosure built. Step 1 to make its home is to make a rock arch. To do that, I got out some water-safe spray foam and sprayed the entire left side of the enclosure, and then I covered it with some lava rocks. You see, leeches spend most of their time in the water, but they actually have the ability to crawl on land like a worm. And basically, by connecting all these rocks with foam, I was able to build an arch here that I could cover with dirt to make the land portion of this enclosure. On the land, I put some very simple decorations like a piece of wood, some carpet moss, and a small plant to complete it.
Alright, the land area is looking pretty nice and small and cozy, and it's gonna be so cool to see the leeches swim onto the land so they can eat food and stuff. Oh, and also, if you're wondering where I got this beautiful plant, it's of course from Walmart. Gotta keep the channel's tradition going, you know.
Anyway, step 2 of this enclosure is to create the water portion. Now, I started by getting out some of this black aqua soil stuff and putting a layer of it down because it'll allow us to grow some beautiful, luscious plants in here. But first, I covered the soil with a layer of sand and started to scatter giant river rocks along the bottom. I figured it'd be cool to make this place look like the bottom of a river, since that's where leeches live in the wild. To finish the river look in here, I put some smaller river rocks around, and then I put some extra small tiny river rocks around, and then I put some extra tiny small river rocks around, which aren't really rocks anymore, they're just kind of like gravel, but yeah. Anyways, now it's time for the aquatic plants. I use my artistic skills to find the most optimal locations to plant each plant, and by that I mean I just put them around randomly, but after putting them all in, it actually looked pretty cool.
Alright, dang, this is actually gonna look pretty good once I add water in here. And also, it turned out really good how that rock arch makes like a little cave there. That's gonna be really cool. I guess the leeches are gonna be able to swim there or something.
Anyways, leeches are freshwater creatures, so I just filled the enclosure up with some normal water, you know, pretty simple stuff, and in no time it was done.
Alright, I'm liking the look of this a lot, but if you look at the dirt, it's absorbed the water and it's super moist and it kind of looks like mud right now. Now, because the humidity's so high right here, mold can actually grow, which is of course not good for the leeches. But don't worry, because I have the perfect solution right here.
Inside of this container, I had some little insect creatures delivered to me for step number 3, the mold cleanup crew. These are springtails, which you may have seen before, but I have a cool idea for them this time. They're basically just super tiny white insects that I guess eat mold when it grows in here. And yeah, there's tons of these things in here, so I just dumped the whole container on the land.
Alright, I think it'd be really cool to get a time lapse of these little guys eating. And since there's no mold in here right now, apparently their second favorite food is yeast, which is like a fungus or something. I don't really know. You use it to bake bread. But basically, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit right here and we'll see what they do. I don't even know if this is gonna work.
So I waited for the springtails to absolutely devour the yeast up, and they were all kind of gathering up around it, looking like they were probably eating it. And as you can see, this part of the yeast kind of changed. I don't know if that's just because it soaked up the water from the dirt or what. I guess I only record the springtails for like 30 minutes, so it's not a very eventful time lapse, but this is what it looked like at the end. Now for step number 4 of completing this enclosure, we gotta put some technology in here like always to make it super good. Now first of all, I got out this machine, which you may have seen in some of my previous videos. Basically, when I turn this little dial, out of the end of the tube, a bunch of fog comes out. So I set that up on the side of the glass and let it run for a minute.
Dang, check this out. It completely transforms it from being kind of boring to like super spooky. And honestly, it's a little bit too much fog. Let me get some of this out of here. Okay, that's better. But you know, it's cool. Adds to the atmosphere. Leeches are pretty spooky. And you know, I'm going to be letting it stuck on my arm. It's not going to be fun.
Anyways, for the second technology, well, this one's a little useless, but it's cool.
Okay, so I was walking around Target earlier and saw these little robot turtle toys on sale for about like $8. $2. And I think it'll just be funny to put these in the water with the leech, you know, once we add them in. But let's just test them out real quick to see what they look like. Okay, I got it. And I think you just like press these buttons and okay, its arms are moving. I guess let me just put it in the water. Let's see what this thing can do. And, oh, it's moving. And it's just swimming into the glass. Okay, I guess it's kind of cool. Okay, it's not that cool, to be honest. Well, let me put it on land. Let's see if it can walk on land. And, yeah, okay, can't walk on land.
Well, this enclosure is now 100% complete and ready for probably the weirdest pet I have ever got to be put inside, the leeches. So I guess just cut to when I get that package.
Alright, supposedly in this box are the leeches. I just got them shipped. I still can't believe we're gonna be keeping these as pets, and I'm literally gonna be letting it suck on my arm. This is not gonna be fun at all, but it's gonna be pretty entertaining. But hey, let's just go get these guys in their enclosure. We don't want them in their, you know, shipping box anymore. Let's go.
So I brought the box inside and opened it up.
Oh nah, bro. The leeches are inside this little foam box. I do not even want to open this up.
Inside the box was a little plastic container with water and the leeches, which I moved into this bigger container of water. And well, here they are, my new pet. Aren't they so cute?
Oh, are you seeing this? This is so disgusting. This guy's just climbing up the side of the enclosure. They're already trying to escape.
But despite how nasty they were, I had to transport them to their new home, so I tried to scoop them out.
Okay, I got one of them up against the wall in this little container, and I'm just gonna try and scoop it up. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot, it's not going good. Oh, no, is this thing trying to escape right now? No, this is not the time. Can you please go back in the container? Oh my gosh, it's just on my table.
But eventually I got it back in, and I was able to put both the leeches into their new home. And right after dropping them in, it didn't take long for the leeches to start swimming around and be super active. Basically, how leeches work is they mostly get around by swimming around just like this, like how a sea snake would. But on one end of their body, they actually have a little suction cup so that they can grab onto walls and rocks so they can stay still. And of course, on the other end of their body is the mouth that they use to, of course, grab onto animals with.
Okay, as you guys know, these leeches get most of their food by sucking the blood out of other animals. But before I feed them my own blood, I kind of want to fill them up just at least a little bit by feeding them some other type of food. And apparently Google says one of the best things to feed them is raw liver from the grocery store. And I don't really have any of that, so I guess let me just go get it.
So I drove over to Walmart and found some of that raw beef liver that supposedly the leeches will eat.
Dang, check this stuff out. It's only $2.44 per packet of it. That is why we shop at Walmart, everybody. And it does look pretty nasty, but I'm pretty sure the leeches are gonna eat this. I don't know, let's just go home and figure out.
So when I got home, I opened the packet up and got a little raw piece of liver out.
All right, well, we got the beef liver right here. It's kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie, slimy and everything. And hey, the leeches are out and about right now, so I think I'm just gonna drop it in right there. Hopefully it doesn't make the water dirty or anything.
I let the meat sit there for about 15 minutes, but the leeches didn't end up finding it. So instead, I just picked it up and brought it right over to one of them. Immediately, that first one picked up the scent or something and latched onto it. So while that leech rode the piece of meat, I brought it over to the second one, and that guy immediately latched onto it too. And yeah, I just let them go crazy on it, eating it up for a little bit.
Oh my gosh, these leeches are absolutely devouring this piece of meat. I gotta make sure they don't get filled up on this meat, because I still gotta eat meat. Can you guys come off, please? Oh my gosh, if they're this hard stuck on the meat, what are they gonna do when they're on my arm? I don't know, bro. This is not gonna be fun, though. Alright, it's the next day and the leeches are still doing good. And anyways, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Well, I haven't been waiting for it, but I'm gonna let the leeches go on my arm now. So let me wait for my mom to get home so she can record that, and also I wanna see how she reacts to this new pet leech. Okay, Mom, you can come in now. Alright, hi.
Hi.
I'm just bringing you in here because I want to show you my new pet. Alright, so basically just look at its cage and I want you to guess what's in there.
Oh my god.
Do you see anything in there?
Yeah, it's in the jar.
Yeah, right there.
Disgusting.
In the
dude.
jar. I had to put it in a jar just because.
Is it a centipede?
A centipede is
I
underwater.
don't know.
That's a leech.
No, dude.
A pet
Dude,
leech.
no.
Isn't a pet leech cool?
No. Is it the sucking of the blood leech?
Yeah, sucks your blood. But you know, we gotta feed it.
Oh, right. I see where you're gonna go with this not happening.
Yeah, don't worry. We're definitely not gonna be feeding it anyone's blood. But I want to show you this thing you see on top. You can put fog inside.
That's neat.
But I don't only have fog. We also got some turtles.
Some little turtles.
Yeah, they just kind of move around. They're kind of cool.
Why is it in a jar like that, though?
Oh, you're wondering why it's in a jar? So basically, it's in a jar because I need to do something with it, and I need you to record me do something with it.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick the leech up, and I'm just gonna take all the water out, and then I'm just gonna put this upside down right here. And basically, I need you to take my phone and record me sucking the blood out of my arm.
No, you're not gonna do that.
Yes, I have to
No,
do
we're
it.
not, dude. Why do you have to do that?
Because I
Dylan?
said I would do it at the start of the video.
Oh, right.
I'm just gonna take the jar and put it here.
Oh my gosh,
so it does
no.
something.
Why are we doing this?
Don't worry.
No, dude.
So this might take like a couple minutes. I don't
For
know.
it to even get out of there?
Yeah, you see how the suction cup is on the jar?
Yeah. Here, maybe I can like...
Okay, it could happen right now. It could happen right now.
No, 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 no. No!
Okay, it's biting me.
Dylan, why are we doing this again?
Go back a little bit.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Okay, it's biting me right now and it's sucking my blood. I feel the blood coming out of my arm.
Oh my god,
Okay.
no. Ew.
It feels so weird.
Does it?
So basically, it's injecting like a chemical in my blood right now to make it run faster so it can suck more blood out. Oh!
Oh my god, are you serious? Is this, can it really harm you? Does
No,
it do
hopefully
anything
not.
to you?
So I don't know how to get this off actually.
No, I'm flicking it off.
No, so you can't flick it off. Okay, so the teeth are like going harder into my body. So some people feed these for like 3 hours at a time, but yeah, I'm not doing all that.
Oh my gosh, they actually let them feed your blood for 3 hours.
Yeah, you just kind of want to like trick its teeth into like scaring it, you know, so it will unbite it. All right, and just like that. Get off, get off, get off, get off.
Oh
Go.
my god, get up.
Ah, bit me again. There we go, just like that. It's all fine and dandy. So that's my new pet.
What? No, dude, let's just throw it in the toilet.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. Don't worry because we got princess band-aids right here to heal the wound.
gosh.
And we got some cream or something I guess you gotta put on it.
Neosporin, yeah.
Okay, so first we just gotta get the cream, put some on there like that. Maybe that's a little too much. And then we have our princess band-aid. So we just take that out. Oh, I don't know who that is, but it's a very pretty princess. And boom, just like that, we just fed our pet leech.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there, you wanna try?
Nope,
Your turn.
absolutely not. No, or just throw it in the toilet.
Well, I just let a leech suck the blood out of my arm, so please subscribe, especially if you enjoyed the video.
This is a totally regular fish. Just kidding, it can literally walk on land. Yeah, I just figured out that there's this species of fish that has evolved over millions of years to be able to survive out of the water. It's called a mud skipper, and I want to keep it as a pet.
Okay, well, it's gonna be here in 7 days, so I guess I just gotta wait for then.
With 1 week until the walking fish got delivered, I needed to create a home for it with both a section for water and land.
So to do that, I just went out and bought, 1 second. This. It's a 40-gallon terrarium, and I'm gonna fill it up with this. I'm just kidding, there's more. A lot more.
So yeah, basically a lot of stuff, because I want to make this be a dream home for my mud skipper that will have tons of awesome stuff, including a literal parkour course to figure out if the $24 mud skipper will actually be able to jump out of the water.
Alright, anyways, to build this tank, we can pretty much get rid of all of this stuff. And that's because all we need right now are these. Although it may not look like it, inside of each of these packages is rocks. Just for some reason, they've all been individually wrapped. I don't know who did that, but I guess I gotta unwrap all these now.
20 minutes later.
Alright, there we go. Basically, I'm gonna use these rocks to lay out the foundation of the enclosure to separate the land and water areas.
So I laid some of the rocks out, but then I eventually ran into a problem.
Okay, I've just run out of small rocks while building, and the only rocks I have left are way too big. So you know what time it is. There we go.
So I continued building up the height of the rocks like this, because I'm planning on building a waterfall here with a working water flow, so the walking fish will be able to play around in it.
Now to fill in the gaps, I've got to use this spray foam to, you know, spray it. Now this is where the build gets fun, because now I get to use this little pump to make the waterfall actually work. Now to be honest, I don't really know how I'm gonna do this, but I need to somehow send water from this pump up the rock, so then it can somehow flow back down into the water area. Okay, so I guess I'll just try and use this tube that the pump came with, and try and send it up over the rocks like that. Well, I guess let me go get some water and fill this thing up so I can see if the waterfall actually works. Alright, moment of truth, let me plug this in.
and it's plugged in. And wait, is it working? Kind of. Okay, this is more of just like a sewage pipe than a waterfall. But oh god, why is the water turning brown? What is going? Since it wasn't working very well, I decided to get some more water and add that in to see if it would help. Okay, with more water, the water pressure of the waterfall goes up a lot. Bro, what is this? Can you stop going? How is it? Okay, oh shoot. Oh nah. Bro, it is spraying all around my room. Turn it off. Turn them off. So thankfully, I found this dial on the pump that let me turn down the water pressure, and then the waterfall was actually working pretty well. All right, there we go. To finish it off, I glued some rocks on the top to hide the pump, and I also drained out the sewage water because, yeah, we don't really want that. The waterfall was now complete, but this is only just the start. I have some crazy things planned for the walking fish, like building a literal parkour course for it to play on. Yeah, I am not kidding. But first, I need to finish the foundations of this enclosure, which means I need to make it look like a beautiful lake. To do that, I got a bunch of different stuff like wood, which I glued onto the rocks. Now I've got to add the substrate. So for the land area, I'm using these black balls, which I'll put behind the rocks and sloping down the waterfall. Finally, I put a layer of dirt on top to make it look more natural. Now for the water area, I'm gonna keep it simple by just adding in some sand, you know. All right, the substrate's finished now, but if I'm not gonna lie, this kind of looks really bad. But the only reason this looks really bad right now is because the final step to making a beautiful lake is to add in plants. And unfortunately for me, I can't really just grab plants from outside. Okay, I don't know why I even grabbed that. Let me just put it back. Instead, I still bought them, and yeah, I have plants now. So I spent a little while using my artistic skills to put the plants around the terrarium, and it ended up looking like this, which, you know, this looks pretty good. All right, now that that's done, it's time to add the water in again, and this time I'm gonna be a little more careful to make sure it doesn't turn into sewage water. Also, I figured I should mention this, but I'm using a water that has a very small amount of salt mixed into it, because that's how mud skippers live in the wild. So if any of the freshwater plants die, it's not my fault. Oh my god, look at this. This is literally like a paradise. There's a working waterfall, there's plants, okay, I mean, that's just normal, I guess, but, you know, it's still pretty good. And look, this is the best part. I even got a light on it that when I press this button, it will turn it to nighttime. And by nighttime, I mean it just changes the light to blue, but, I mean, you still gotta admit that's pretty cool. The base of the enclosure was now finished. Before he gets here, I'm gonna add a bunch of tiny fish inside. But before adding in the fish, I quickly poured some healthy bacteria into the water in order to let it cycle and make it safe for the fish. All right, well, it's been a couple days now. I guess let me just go get the fish, you know. I went and purchased the fish and got 4 of these mollies. Okay, the fish have been acclimating in the water for a little bit now. And to put them in the water, I'm gonna do a super cool transition. So basically when I clap my hands, they'll be in the water. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Look at that. That's a super clean transition. But anyways, the fish are in the, you know, the lake. So I got 4 fish, 3 different species of mollies. And, you know, they look pretty cool. We got like a zebra-looking one, some goldfish-looking ones, and then there's a black one. You know, these are pretty cool. Hey, look at this. This guy's eating the sand right now. You see that? What the heck? I didn't even know they did that. Okay, wait, I'm not even gonna lie, these are actually super cool. And to make it even more diverse, I also got some narite snails, which will help clean algae and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty helpful. But if I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of getting bored of just these normal fish. So you know what time it is. It is time to add in the walking fish, the reason why we're all watching this video. This is the walking fish inside of this box. So let me open this thing up. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. There's nothing actually in this box. The walking fish has actually been acclimating in the water for a while, so I can already add him into his new home. Right after adding him in, the little fish started to swim all around his new water area. He even started to play around with some of the other fish. But of course, this isn't just a normal fish, it is a walking fish. And this little guy clearly knew how to do that very well. Oh my god, this guy is just walking around on land. This is so cool. Mud skippers are able to defy the law of fish because they have not only the ability to breathe through their gills like all fish, but also through their skin while it's still wet. So in fact, mud skippers will actually spend more time out of the water than in the water. So I don't really know if they can even really be considered a fish at that point, but I mean, it still looks like one. But the best part of this video is coming up now, where I'll be feeding the mud skipper all types of food, including live insects, to see which he likes the most. Then I'll build him a parkour course, and if he can successfully complete it, I'll give him unlimited of whatever his favorite food is. But of course, this little guy's first gonna need a name. So after searching through thousands of options, I came across the perfect name. This walking fish will be called Franklin, because I just feel like he looks like a Franklin. Anyways, let's feed Franklin some food to see which he likes best out of these. First up on the list, we got houseflies. Now I have 200 of them in this little container, but I only want to feed him a couple of these, so I'm gonna have to be careful that hundreds of these don't escape around my room. So I'm just gonna try my best to empty a few into here next to Franklin. And oh dang, he is going crazy. About 3 flies had dropped in, and Franklin had instantly sucked up 2 of them. But one of the flies had managed to escape onto a little leaf. But of course, I wasn't gonna let him get away, so I scooped him up and brought him over to Franklin. I will be honest though, his hunting skills did need some work, as it took him a couple tries just to eat this tiny little fly, but eventually he got it down. Clearly Franklin loves houseflies, but I wonder if he'll go for some bigger insects. So next up, I got some mealworms and got straight to dropping them in front of Franklin. This time he was under the water, but that didn't stop him, as he tried to eat the worms right away. Although there is a reason why I said he tried to eat the worms, because he failed so many times at trying to eat it. And eventually another fish just tried to take it from him, so he just swam away. But a little later, while Franklin was chilling on the land area, I dropped another worm right in front of him, and this time he leaped onto it and absolutely devoured it.
Wait, is he going under the water with it? Wait, I think he just swallowed it whole. Dang.
While it's clear that Franklin likes mealworms, it is a little bit hard for him to hunt them, but there's still the final insect to feed him, which are crickets. And these are almost as big as Franklin's, so I don't really know if he's even gonna try and eat them, but I dropped them in anyways. The cricket started to slowly move around in the water, and Franklin definitely noticed. Franklin got into position and waited for the perfect moment to strike. And as soon as the cricket moved again, okay. Well, it turns out the cricket scared Franklin away and he just hid under the water. Bruh. Well, now I know Franklin loves flies, sorta likes worms, and is just straight up scared of crickets. Well, now it's time for the best part of the video, where I'll be building Franklin a parkour course to test how good he is at jumping. Now, you might be wondering how I'm actually gonna create this, and well, to be honest, I don't know. Actually, I do not have a plan at all. But I guess I'll just start with something I already have, which is this plastic stuff. And I'll quickly just create some little pillars that the fish will have to jump to. Now we just gotta put these into place in the floor, and boom. Here's the game plan. There's 3 of these pillars that the walking fish will have to go from jump to jump. And if he gets to the final pillar, I'll give him unlimited houseflies to eat, since that's his favorite food. Alright, well the course is built, so I guess I'll just wait and see if he'll complete it.
2 hours later.
So Franklin never even tried to complete it on his own. I don't really know what I was expecting. So instead, I got some tweezers and mealworms to try and bring him towards the course. But it seemed like Franklin was scared of the tweezers, so I just had to keep repeatedly dropping the food in the direction I wanted him to go in. And once he tried to eat it, I picked it up and repeated the process. It eventually worked to get Franklin over to the start of the parkour course, but this is the hard part, because now he actually has to jump from platform to platform. So I tried the same strategy of dropping mealworms, but it was taking forever. So I had to make it a little easier for him by putting some mud leading up to it. So now it's not really a parkour course, it's more just like a walk-core course. But after doing that and switching over the flies, Franklin started to make a little more progress. But this is where it got hard for Franklin, because while he could make it up to the first platform multiple times, he just wasn't going to the second platform at all. And he definitely wasn't going to go to the third platform, so I just removed that and decided if he made it to the second, then he would win the unlimited flies prize. So I continued trying to bring him there for literally 2 hours, but Franklin just kept abandoning mission on the first platform over and over.
Mission failed.
We'll get him next time.
So to be honest, I just gave up and scooped Franklin up onto it because I still wanted to give him unlimited flies.
Yay, Franklin, you totally just did that by yourself. Now you get unlimited flies. Here you go, boy. Eat up, eat up. Oh my god, there's so many flies. No, they're getting away, they're flying around my room.
And of course, Franklin really enjoyed those flies. If you want to see more videos about Franklin in the future, make sure you subscribe. I hope you enjoyed seeing how cool this walking fish is, and if you have any ideas about what kind of videos I should make for him, comment them. There are billions of lizards alive across the world, but out of all of them, one species stands out as unique.
What the hell, what?
Chameleons. You see, chameleons have the ability to be bred to have extremely rare color patterns, like a literal rainbow. But I just came across the rarest color variation that I have never seen before.
This beautiful red and blue chameleon that literally looks like a Nintendo Switch. Just to represent how rare this is, let's say there's a billion lizards on Earth and about 1,000 of those are a chameleon with this exact color morph. That would mean there is a 0.0000001% chance of this existing. And sure, it may cost $899, but this is gonna easily be one of my coolest pets ever.
And once I get it, I'll show off some special abilities of chameleons that many of you have probably never seen before. But it's gonna take a few days until it gets shipped out to my house. So in the meantime, I probably should build up an enclosure for the chameleon with everything it could possibly need to live an amazing life. And of course, to build that, I'm gonna need the giant 120-gallon terrarium and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies. But to start the build, the only thing we actually need is some dead leaves and bark. You see, to make the floor for a chameleon, you don't want to use normal materials like dirt. This is because chameleons have these special tongues that when they're shot out, they'll pick up stuff like dirt on the floor and eat it, which will make the chameleon sick. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. So even though this floor is super simple, it's actually perfect. But of course, the rare Nintendo Switch chameleon I'm getting is gonna need a lot more than this in his enclosure. Yeah, this is just definitely not enough. So for step number 2, I got a whole bunch of wooden branches. Now, as you can see, I installed these 2 metal bars going across the enclosure, which I'll start by covering in the branches I have. I made sure to make the branches reach all along the top of the enclosure, the bottom, the sides, and literally everywhere. And after they were secured in place with zip ties and foam, I covered up most of that ugly stuff with some moss and leaves. So it doesn't look like a 5-year-old made this anymore. I also got a bunch of these vine things, which are basically these long bendable rubber sticks that recreate the look of jungle vines, and they curve all around the enclosure.
Okay, if I'm being honest, this does look a little bit cluttered and messy right now. But trust me, coming up in this video, I got some stuff planned that's gonna make this, actually look good and be an actually good enclosure.
And plus, all these branches and vines are actually very necessary to allow the chameleon to climb and swing around the entire enclosure. And don't worry, guys, because I'll be getting plants to cover up these big ugly foam things in the corner. Speaking of plants, I should probably put some in here since that's the next step to finishing this amazing home. But I don't have any right now, so I'm gonna go to the plant store. Now, of course, I drove to Walmart, as always, to buy my plants. And the plant section was actually amazing this time. I mean, they had a way better selection than they usually do. Just look at all of them.
Oh my gosh, are you guys seeing this? $15 for this giant plant. Okay, that is actually a super good deal. You're only gonna see deals like that at Walmart. That is why I come here, guys.
So I picked out all the plants the rare chameleon could possibly want and brought them home.
Alright, so obviously I've got plants now, but you'd be stupid if you think I'm just gonna put these straight into the enclosure. Oh, no. I'm going to make these plants way, way better.
And what I mean by that is I'm gonna make them look extra cool with some animal-safe red and blue paint. Yeah, I'm gonna paint these plant pots to be the same color as the chameleon I'm getting. I don't know why, I just think it'll look cool, okay? Yeah, I did this on every plant pot, it took forever. But after letting the paint dry for a few hours, I started to scatter the plants along the floor and sides of the enclosure. And in no time, I was done.
And check this out. This looks, I mean, it looks all right. I mean, the plants and everything look fine, but maybe the blue and red pots were not the best idea. The paint kind of started to fade. It's not even blue anymore, but it's still pretty funny, and I bet the chameleon's gonna like to see some of the stuff of his same color. So anyways, I gotta get to the next step. Let's just go to the next step right now. Let's go to the next step.
Okay, anyways, on the to-do list, there's 2 more steps to make this a chameleon dream home, starting with some basic technology. And what this means is I've got a bunch of technology like this light bulb, which is necessary, but to be honest, it's nothing special. This light bulb in specific generates heat, and as you can see, right in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it reaches up to 90 degrees, which is perfect. And of course, in a cooler part of the enclosure, it reaches about 70 degrees, so the chameleon won't get too hot or nothing. You know, we don't want the chameleon to get heat stroke. But another basic technology you need is a long UVB light bulb, which recreates the same UV rays the sun does. And basically, this lets the chameleon get vitamin D or something. It's pretty complex biology stuff, but it's very important. And finally, I set up a simple water misting system, which, you know, you just press a button and it starts spraying water all around the enclosure. Yeah, pretty simple, but it's very necessary. Okay, well, now that the boring technology is over, let's get some fun, custom, advanced technology in this enclosure. At the start, I got this big, cool blue thing. You see, earlier at Walmart, I saw these toys that were apparently made by the YouTuber Mr. Beast. And, you know, I love Mr. Beast, so I bought this egg-looking one, which I had an idea for how I could use in the chameleon enclosure. So I pressed a button to open it up, and inside was, this thing.
What the heck is this? Okay, I guess inside there's a Mr. Beast toy that makes that annoying noise. Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I guess let me just put this inside the chameleon enclosure, and there we go. If you're wondering why I put this in here, well, I was just thinking I want to give the chameleon a nice friend, and, you know, this is kind of animal looking thing, so, okay, I'm sorry, this is stupid. Let's just go to the next technology.
And now next on the to-do list, this one is even cooler than the last.
Alright, so for the second thing I'm adding in here, basically, I just wanted to make it look more like a home. And as you know, most homes have paintings around their house because that's just what homes have. So I'm gonna add my own custom painting inside of here.
And to get the custom image made, I asked AI to make a picture of a red and blue chameleon wearing a suit.
And, oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, we're gonna put this painting inside the chameleon's home. Oh, this is gonna be pretty cool.
So I drove to the printing store and printed the image out, hoping no one around me would see me getting these stupid looking paintings.
Bruh. And there we go. Check it out. This looks pretty. I mean, the painting looks kind of cool, but I don't really know why I added this either. It's a little useless, but anyways, this entire enclosure is actually pretty much finished. I don't know anything else I can add to it, so I guess it's just time to add the rare red and blue chameleon inside. Let's just cut to then. So as you can see, I got the lizard right here, and I don't know what I'm doing outside. I should probably just go put him in the enclosure.
So I opened up the package and immediately was amazed by its beauty.
Oh my gosh, this thing looks super cool. Okay, wait, this is easily gonna be my coolest looking pet.
The only thing to do was open the lid and let it crawl out when it was ready. And of course, it went straight to doing its stupid chameleon dance.
Well, what the hell, what?
Now, as you can see, the colors on it right now are sort of darker than what they should be. And that's because currently it's a bit stressed from just getting out of the shipping container. Coming up, I'll be explaining exactly how chameleons change color and why by showing you guys this rare lizard. But for now, I want to show the amazing ability that chameleons have to hunt prey from literally across the enclosure.
Now, you guys may not know this, but chameleons actually love crickets. Like literally all my other pets, and crickets are pretty healthy for chameleons, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna be feeding him today.
So I waited a few hours before putting any crickets in to allow the chameleon to adjust to his new home. And as you can see, soon enough, his color started to brighten up, and that means he's ready to hunt.
Come on, crickets, get out, get out. There we go. Yeah, get out.
I put a few of the crickets inside, and at first they sort of just started to mind their own business, just walking around looking for food, you know. But little did they know that they are about to become food for this guy.
Hi, how are you?
Now, the first ability chameleons have for hunting is their eyes. As you can see, both of his eyes are able to move in different directions, constantly scanning everywhere around him, in front and behind at the same time. And it wasn't long until the chameleon set one of his eyes on one of the little crickets. He started to move into attack position very slowly. Yeah, chameleons are so slow, they're basically sloths. And while this cricket thought he was safe, little did he know what was about to happen. Chameleon's second ability, their insane tongue that's over a foot long. Yeah, whenever this chameleon was within a couple feet of a cricket, it locked onto the target and shot its tongue directly towards it. And because the tongue is so sticky, it just brought the cricket in with it so it could enjoy a nice, tasty meal. And after seeing how cool it was when the chameleon hunted, I got a funny idea.
Okay, you see this cricket here? I'm gonna get this onto my hand like that. And then I'm literally gonna try and feed the chameleon from my hand. You can see it's right there. It just jumped off. Okay, take two. We're gonna put this right next to the chameleon's mouth. And there we go, that's the perfect spot. Eat it, bro. Eat it. I want to see this thing eat from my hand so bad. It's literally right in front of you. Hello? You're just gonna watch it? It's crawling all around my hand. You have the perfect opportunity, and you're not doing it. And, okay, I think the chameleon's just walking away at this point. I guess he doesn't really want to eat from my hand. I'm sorry, cricket, but I'm just gonna... You're gonna get eaten.
Anyways, I should probably name this rare chameleon, and like I said earlier, this thing has the exact same colors as a Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna name my chameleon... Switch. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty creative name, I know. Anyways, now I'm gonna show you guys exactly how chameleons change color, and it might actually be pretty surprising to some of you. But quickly, I just want to tell you guys that since the last video, you've increased the amount of people subscribed from 5% to 6%, which is okay improvement, but let's get this to like 50%. So please, if you're enjoying this video at all, just scroll down and click subscribe. Now, anyways, you might have seen me show you guys this video of a chameleon changing colors. And while this viral video is actually very cool to watch, it is completely fake. Yeah, chameleons can't actually control their colors like that, and in reality, they only have the ability to become slightly darker or slightly brighter. This happens because of super tiny cells in their skin that can get bigger or smaller depending on certain conditions like heat. You see, when I first put Switch in the enclosure, he immediately ran up to the heat lamp and sat under it, which made his color change to be way brighter. Anyway, Switch is very cool, and I've only just scratched the surface of chameleon care. I might even end up doing another video where I breed Switch and another rare female chameleon to get an ultra rare chameleon, so subscribe if you want to see that. But until then, this guy is gonna be an amazing pet. Thank you for watching. Anyways, I just want to quickly update all the subscribers who care about the channel. So I've seen a couple comments of people asking what I do with my pets after the videos, and the answer is with some of them, I'll end up donating them to pet shops or friends to take care of them. Since I make a ton of videos by myself, it's hard to give equal care to every single pet, so that's why I do that. But if you're wondering,
if 1,000 ants had to fight a black widow, what would actually happen? Would the spider's venom come out on top, or would the sheer number of ants overwhelm her? Well, in this video, I'm gonna test ants against that and tons of other interesting scenarios to see how strong ants really are.
The only problem is I don't have 1,000 ants.
And I bought the most expensive shipping option to make sure the ants would arrive without any dying during the shipping.
Oh, I am so excited. As long as I get a good species, it's gonna be so fun to watch these go against a black widow and everything else I have planned for them.
Anyways, I brought them to the recording area and opened up the package, and I was kind of surprised by what I found.
Nah, are they in here? Oh my gosh, okay, there actually is like 1,000. Okay, at least I didn't get scammed.
Since they were in a pill bottle, I couldn't really get a good look at them, so I got a clear container and dumped them all inside. Instantly, you could now see the true scale of what 1,000 ants actually looks like. And at least, I think it's 1,000. I'm not counting all these guys. And after analyzing the species, I realized that these were harvester ants, which are equipped with venomous stingers and massive mandibles, meaning yes, this was actually going to be a very interesting video with everything I was going to test.
Now, for these 1,000 ants to be able to fight a black widow, we first need to get them in a nest. And well, everyone say hello to the Terra jar. It's like TerraGreen, except I replaced the green with a jar. Anyways, let me go and dump all these guys in here. Be free, everyone. This is way bigger than that tiny pill bottle you were in.
Right away, you could see the ants starting to move around on top of the soil. Now, you might be thinking that this isn't enough space for the ants. Well, it actually is, because this is specifically designed for the ants to dig out tunnels all along the sides of the glass. And as the video progresses, we're gonna see their nest get crazier and crazier. And yeah, most of the ants were kind of going crazy trying to climb up the glass, but after leaving them alone for only a few hours, you could see they were already starting to construct their tunnel system. Each of the worker ants would pick up singular grains of sand from the tunnels, walk up to the surface, drop the sand, and go back down to repeat the process. And when you have 1,000 ants, you can see they dig out a pretty good amount in only just an hour of this time-lapse footage.
Oh yeah, it's sick to see the ants already starting to build their nest, and it should be fully dug out by the end of the video. Anyways, as you know, I'll be putting these guys to the test against a black widow. But before then, I have all of these different training activities to prepare the ants for the final spider boss. And second up, we're gonna see how fast they can take down some prey. Yup. we've got a cricket. Oh my gosh, crickets hate me. And sorry, buddy, you are gonna be, well, I guess you guys will just see what's about to happen.
And well, right after dropping the cricket in, literally within like a nanosecond, the ants were swarming it. I thought it would only take like a couple minutes, but no, this cricket was already pinned down, getting venom injected into him. As I said earlier, each of these ants is equipped with a venomous stinger that is obviously not super deadly to humans, but to crickets, when there's like 20 ants repeatedly stinging you, you're kind of done for. Yep, ants don't play around when there's a threat near their nest, and you can see over the next 30 minutes, the cricket stayed completely surrounded by the ants. And I'm guessing they already started to rip its antennas off and stuff to get a tasty meal to spread with the rest of the colony.
Dang, that was cool to watch. Anyways, it's getting late, so I think I'm gonna go and put this bucket on top of the ants so it's dark for them. I'm gonna go to sleep, and hopefully when I wake up, there's gonna be tons more tunnels. Anyways, yeah, I'll see you guys in the morning.
And over those next 10 hours, the ants made their tunnels so much larger and more intricate than before. And on the back, they even had tunnels all the way down at the bottom, with ants actively walking about the whole system.
Anyway, ants, it's 8 a.m., and that means it's time. As you can see, the alarm's going off. It's time for challenge number 3. Let's get these ants trained even more.
For this training, I have to pick up one unlucky ant and transport him to the ant lion pit. If you don't know what an ant lion is, well, this is it. It's just a tiny little bug that has actually evolved over millions of years to be an expert at taking down ants. Basically, when you go and put them on the floor, they start to dig themselves under the ground, and then they just go around digging. And I have 9 more of these guys, which I spread across the whole tank. And as you can see, they all dig around, making these little lines in the ground. But after waiting a few hours, you can see that each of the ant lions had actually dug out their own little pits in the ground, and when an ant walks into the bottom of them, they're basically cooked.
All right, ant, I'm gonna put you right at the start, and at the end, I'm gonna put some breadcrumbs so you can bring back to the colony if you survive this.
And without further ado, I let the ant loose. Let's see if he can get the bread to feed the colony. Immediately, he started to explore around the sand area. He had no idea that he was constantly walking near these pits of death. And eventually, he took a wrong step and stumbled inside of one. These pits are specifically designed to make the ants trip into them, but the ant lion at the bottom must have been sleeping or something, because nothing happened and the ant was just able to walk out. But if you look closely, this caused the ant lion to wake up. He was now active and armed, with his mandibles now throwing up sand in case the ant walked in again. And over the next few minutes, the ant did just that. He kept walking inside of the pit, but the ant lion just could never quite snap on the ant at the right time. Well, that was until this. You see, this is paused footage, but basically if we unpause it, you can see exactly what happens when an ant lion gets a hold of the ant. The ant lion started to bring the ant underground, and within a few seconds, it was like there was never anything even here. I thought it was over, and you could tell by the sand moving that the ant was getting pulled further and further underground. But all of a sudden, I saw this. A little bit of the ant's head had poked out of the ground. He somehow was fighting back, and must have been using its stinger to try and escape. I immediately rushed back and recorded with my other camera, and what I saw was so weird. The ant had somehow made it out from under the sand, but it wasn't trying to escape. In fact, it was using its front legs to try and dig back under the ground.
Bro, what the heck? Why is this ant digging like a dog? He's literally using his front legs to dig in the sand where he almost just got killed. Bro, this guy's crazy.
Nah, bro, if you want to be eaten by an ant lion that bad, I will gladly put you right there.
Have fun, buddy.
And right after putting him in this pit, this ant lion also woke up and eventually snapped at the ant. And it once again started to pull him underground. But miraculously, this ant was able to fight back once again and somehow broke free, immediately ran out of the hole and straight over to the breadcrumbs to claim his prize. Nah, this ant tricked me to have me move him closer to the bread, and now he somehow won the challenge.
Nah, bro, there is something up with these ants. I'm being dead serious. How on earth did he escape the ant lion pit over here? And how on earth did he escape this one and then know to go to the bread? And now he's trying to bring bread back to the colony. Bro, well played. You survived.
I'll bring you and all the bread back to the colony.
So I brought it all over to the nest, and the entire colony was clearly super excited because they all swarmed the bread and started taking little pieces of it underground. Anyways, I went and waited a few hours and came back to find the nest even bigger once again. But the ants still are not done with their training sessions, and next up, we gotta see if they can survive some Venus flytraps for some food. So I immediately picked up some of the workers to bring them to the flytrap minefield, completely decked out with tons of Venus flytrap plants.
For the food on this obstacle, we got a gorilla. I'm just kidding. I don't know why it's packaged in this. Basically what it is just a bunch of oats, and I'm just gonna feed these to the ants. Let's put them inside.
You see, each Venus flytrap has these tiny little trigger hairs inside of them, and when something touches them, it causes them to close. And if I carefully put the oats in between the hairs without hitting any of them, I can basically just put the food in here, which will make the ants have to carry them out. But it was actually pretty hard to get the oats perfectly inside, so I ended up just spreading the oats everywhere around the tank.
All right, let's see how the ants do in here. I have a feeling they're not gonna do too well, but yeah, we'll see.
Immediately, the ants had started to swarm out the tube that I put them in, and they were probably really confused of why they were all just transported away from their nest. And for a little while, they kind of just walked around, investigating their new environment. But that was until a couple minutes later, where this first ant walked up to a Venus flytrap plant. He probably had no idea that these plants were basically alive and wanted to eat him whole. Thankfully though, this guy was able to walk out of the plants without triggering any of the traps. However, a few minutes later, this ant walked up to another one of the plants, and well, this time all I'll say is he wasn't as lucky. Surprisingly, he wasn't super attracted to the oats, but it did seem like he may have been attracted to the traps themselves. You see, Venus flytraps create a very thin layer of nectar around the lip of the jaws to lure insects in. And eventually, this ant ended up, well, walking into one, hitting a trigger hair, and just like that, he was now stuck inside of the jaws. As you can see, the ant was just walking around inside trying to escape, and he had no idea what to do. Too bad for this guy. This trap is going to release a type of acid over the next few days to basically just turn him into some nutrients to make the plant even stronger. Now, interestingly enough, pretty much all the ants I had put inside were staying away from the traps and were all grouped up around this corner. In fact, they were actually starting the process of digging some more tunnels. Now, these ants still think they're in the nest. They're just trying to dig. Well, I mean, I guess it's pretty smart if you're not getting eaten by the traps. Because over the next 20 minutes, only one single ant came across another Venus flytrap. This guy. Let's call him Larry. Now, Larry is a daredevil because he was walking all over the jaws of all of these plants, absolutely risking it for the biscuit. But eventually, Larry's luck ran out because of this happened. The jaw had closed on him, leaving half of his body stuck out of it. But this was actually pretty good for Larry because it means he had a chance to escape. Using all of his strength, which, albeit is not very much, he tried pushing himself out of the jaws. But the trap is designed to just get tighter and tighter as time goes on, meaning this ant was doomed. Well, not actually, because I kind of felt bad for Larry, so I cheated nature and used my tweezers to open the trap. I safely got Larry out and brought him back to the rest of the colony. Anyways, that training actually went really well. Every single ant survived except one. So I brought them all back to the nest and gave the whole colony a bunch of these little gorilla oats to show my support. As you can see, it didn't take long for some of the ants to start moving the oats down to their intricate tunnel systems. And speaking of these tunnel systems, the last training session I'm putting these ants through before the Black Widow is a flood simulation. Yeah, I'm flooding this ant nest.
Well, kinda, because if I actually flooded this thing, it would kill every single ant. So instead, I've got this thing called the Little Dripper, which as you can see, drips some water droplets very slowly.
Yeah, it might seem kind of lame, but this little bit of water should be enough to eventually collapse part of the ant's tunnel system. And if it does collapse, if they can fix it quickly, it means they would have passed all my training missions, and that means they're ready for the Black Widow. So I immediately started to drop the little droplets of water. And initially, the ants were very confused. Some of the droplets were hitting the ants and making them get completely drenched in water. But to my surprise, it almost seemed like the ants wanted to get wet, because more and more of the ants started to gather around where the water was dropping, and eventually a whole pile of ants was getting completely soaked by it. You see, ants are amazing in their ability to work as a team, and in the wild, if a real flood occurred, a massive ant colony would literally join together to make a raft out of their bodies. And that way the important stuff like the queen and eggs could stay on the top and stay dry to ensure the future of the colony. And on a mini scale, this is sort of what the ants are doing here. They're joining together to make a shield out of their bodies that will prevent the water from getting into their tunnels where all the eggs are stored.
Wow, ants are actually amazing. I was totally expecting these tunnels to just collapse from the water, but it seems like ants have literally evolved to do pretty much anything. I'll remove this water. I don't want to do any more harm. You guys proved to me you're very capable.
They instantly took down the cricket, somehow escaped the ant lions, survived the Venus flytraps, and even survived a flood. And throughout that process, they managed to build an awesome nest with a thriving colony.
It is safe to say these ants are ready for my escape. Yeah, don't tell my mom.
But anyways, I went and put the Black Widow in a container so you guys could get a good look at it. And as you can tell, it has that insane, iconic red hourglass abdomen. Wait, sorry. This is my pet robot Black Widow. This is not the real one. Here is the real Black Widow. As you can tell, it's extremely creepy. And under its glossy black abdomen is where the red hourglass is located. These guys have an insane amount of venom, so if it even bites a single ant, it's safe to say it's gonna be a goner. Anyways, here is the tank where the final battle will take place. I went and put a few sticks from my backyard, then I put in the Black Widow. Immediately, she started climbing all over the sticks, and I went and waited a little while she sort of settled in and found a nice spot to rest. Once she did, I went to the ant nest, scooped a good amount of the workers into a tube so we could get this battle started.
Let's get these ants in here. Let the games begin!
Immediately, the ants started to run out of the tube and down onto the sand. When pretty much all of the ants had made it down to the sand, some started to make their way over to the Black Widow, which was just perched right above them on the sticks. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pretty impatient guy, and I couldn't bear to wait for the battle to start. So I literally picked up the stick myself to bring the spider down to the ants. Immediately, the spider started to run around, and none of the ants really noticed besides this guy. That kind of bit the spider's leg or something and scared it away. The spider tried to escape as fast as it could by climbing the glass, but it was too slick. Once a few other of the ants had noticed the Black Widow was on the ground, they started to jump it. And it was actually pretty funny to watch because as you can see, there's barely any ants and the spider was so scared trying to run away at full speed. Bro, you're like the most venomous spider in the world. Why are you not just fighting back? And yeah, a couple of the ants just kind of continued to terrorize the Black Widow. But the thing is, all of the rest of the ants were kind of just doing their own thing at the other side of the enclosure. I had to make this more interesting, so I had a better plan. I went and picked up all of the ants to bring them back to the nest.
Alright, well, I got the Black Widow from the tank, and hey, the title did say 1,000 ants versus Black Widow. Let's actually put this to the test against 1,000 ants.
And well, I dropped the spider inside, and it immediately started going crazy, running everywhere. And obviously, the ants did not act kindly. Every single worker went on red alert mode and jumped onto the spider, grabbing her with their mandibles and repeatedly stinging it over and over. As you saw with the cricket, ants do not mess around with stuff in their nest. And to my surprise, the Black Widow did not even get a chance to fight back. It's actually pretty crazy how quickly the ants had pinned it down and started to devour it. And yeah, well, that's literally all that happened. And that should answer your question of who wins in a fight. 1,000 ants definitely wins. And they basically beat everything. There's a reason why ants are the secret king of the animal kingdom, because there's quadrillions of ants around the world.
Oh, one final thing. I have an important message to all the kids and families and parents watching out there, because mine is packaged well. Now for the moment of truth, let's see this axolotl.
The axolotl was alive, and so I quickly brought it over to this temporary tank so I could put her inside and get a better look. She was a beautiful black axolotl, almost 10 inches long, meaning this thing was fully grown.
Now I actually went and emailed the people I bought this from, and they told me when they got it, this axolotl was found at a pet shop. And when they got it, it had these massive white spots on it and even a chunk of its tail missing.
But axolotls are amazing because they're one of the few animals that are able to regrow limbs literally from nothing. It's insane. And this girl had already made a substantial amount of progress in healing her tail, as you can see.
But they also said that she's not fully recovered yet, and they said to add this chemical called a stress guard, which I have right here, as you can see. And yeah, basically this stuff will add a little bit of a slime coat to the axolotl's skin and help it recover even faster in this temporary tank.
So it's my goal to get this axolotl fully thriving again by the end of the video, and while we wait for the stress guard to take effect, let's build its dream home. Which every axolotl tank of course starts with the floor, which we'll start by adding in a layer of this aqua soil that will give the proper nutrients to all the cool plants we're gonna add in here. Then we're gonna cover that with a layer of sand so the soil won't make the water dirty at all.
But for this build, I've got these. Like a bunch of black crystal rock stuff that I can just go and scatter all over the sand.
Obviously, our rescue axolotl has this unique dark color. So for this whole enclosure, we're gonna be matching that theme as much as I can. As you can see, I got super small black rocks that are almost like sand, medium-sized pebbles, and even large stones, which adds a ton of variety all over the sand. Very nice. But now the tank needs some big rocks, and as you can see, I've got a few different types. But the choice of which to use is clear. You see, axolotls have super delicate skin that can easily scrape on stuff. And especially our rescue axolotl cannot afford to get scraped while he heals. So I'm gonna use the smoothest stones here with no rough edges, which I put a few of those on the side, and I also got out some of these pieces of wood and kind of played around with them to see which style I liked most, and I ended up deciding on this with the two long pieces of branches on the two sides. But as you can see, I've kept the middle of this enclosure completely empty. That's because secondly, I'm going to be building an axolotl cave, which yes, will literally be a cave that looks like an axolotl's head, which, well, I mean, that's the plan at least. I don't know how well it's gonna go.
And building this for the axolotl is going to be perfect because in the wild, they absolutely love dark sheltered areas because it keeps them safe from predators. And I guess caves are made out of rocks, so I'll just start kind of stacking them around here. I bought a bunch of rocks, as you can see.
And after measuring how wide the cave was gonna be, I decided to build it outside of the tank to make it easier. Basically, the plan is we line up the rocks in a kind of circular shape, and then we get out some spray foam and, well, we just start spraying to connect them all. Yeah, I love spray foam so much because it's so useful for all of my aquarium builds. Anyways, I continued to stack the rocks up more and more with spray foam till it ended up looking sort of like the shape of an axolotl head. We got the mouth as the entrance to the cave. Then I put on some giant googly eyes to, obviously be the eyes. And finally, axolotls, of course, have these little hairy things coming out of the side of their head. These are actually the axolotl's gills, which let it breathe, which obviously we had to put on this cave. So I got some of these dark red pipe cleaners and kind of just stuck them on the side of the rocks.
All right, but as you can tell, this is obviously a little bit tacky. I mean, the spray foam is basically like a different color than the rocks. So that's why I'm gonna add some paint. And don't worry, I double checked to make sure this is aquarium safe once it dries. The last thing we need is paint toxicity for our injured axolotl.
So yeah, I went and carved off all the excess spray foam and painted the parts that I thought would make it look better. And anyways, here is the final axolotl cave. And as you can tell, it's basically a one-on-one replica of our axolotl. So I went and put it inside, and well, boom, it is done.
But you see, the coolest thing about this axolotl cave is if we go off and turn off, all the lights, the eyes glow in the dark, kinda. And it's not even that dark in here. If it was pitch black, this would be kind of scary to be looking at night, I'm not gonna lie.
Anyways, before the rest of the build, you're probably wondering how the axolotl is doing. Well, she's actually doing really good. It's been about 8 hours since putting her in here, and you can tell she was being way more active, walking around thanks to that stress guard.
But I've been doing even more research of how to heal the axolotl, and a lot of people are saying to use Indian almond leaves in the water. I didn't even know what those were, but I went out and bought some, of course. Whatever I can do to give the axolotl his best health, I will do. And I guess you just put them inside like that, and then just mix it around. Okay.
Immediately, you can see the leaves provided a little bit of cover above the axolotl, which probably helps her feel safer, but it also starts to slowly turn the water a cloudy tea color. Basically, this is because the leaves are spreading this thing called tannins around into the water, which is just some natural thing that helps the axolotl skin get even healthier. Nice.
And if you didn't already know, axolotls literally don't need any sort of land area in their tanks, which of course I know because in the new TerraGreen activity bucket, there's an entire page dedicated to axolotls where it says that and also some other fun facts, and it even has a little activity at the bottom. So if you like my channel and you want to learn more about nature and also have tons of fun activities, make sure to check this book out. The people that have already bought it have been loving it, so yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting it.
Anyways, while that goes into effect, the next step for the tank is DIY decorations. And this time, I've got a really good plan for tons of unique ones to make.
And this first one's kind of not a decoration, but it's this thing. It's a circular air bubble maker, and it should give oxygen to this whole tank.
And I was just gonna go and put it inside, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wanted to see what it looked like in action before we filled up the tank. So I put it in this temporary one and check it out. Oh yeah, look at the bubbles. I don't know why every time I put one of these in my tanks, it makes me excited. And yeah, I kind of was just playing around with it a little bit too much, watching the bubbles go in weird directions. Anyways, that's enough fooling around, back to work. Now for the next DIY decoration, I got a brick and chisels again. Yep, a couple videos ago, I tried to make a fish statue by carving it out, and it looked super good and super realistic, as you can see.
Well, one of you guys commented saying I should make an axolotl statue, so let's see how this goes.
So first of all, I sketched out how it was gonna look, and this time I got out a professional carving kit. And yep, I don't know what any of these tools do. Gonna go too well. I also put on some googly eyes, cause of course, everything needs googly eyes to look good. Now for the final DIY technology, it's gonna be a custom plaque.
Which, yep, I've got right here. And I'm gonna go and hang it right above the tank so I always know what's inside of here.
So don't worry, I won't be replicating how bad the statue was, so this time I will really be taking my time to follow the outline of this picture. To make the drawing on the plaque, I first drew the pattern out of pencil, and if I thought any part looked bad, I erased it and redrew it. And by the and the outline was pretty similar to the one on my phone. And don't worry, I know you can barely see this, so in order to actually engrave it into the plaque, I now had to use this wood burning thing. Basically, the end of this pen is like a bajillion degrees hot, and it literally burns the pattern into the wood. It's kind of like what I did in my camouflaged mantis video when I made the sticks black, but yeah, just much more controlled, and it didn't take too long to finish it all up. I even went and wrote what I was gonna name the axolotl at the top of the plaque.
Yep, I'm naming it Black's the Axe. A lotl in parentheses. Because obviously, it's a black axolotl. I feel like that name fits and it rhymes. Black's the Axe. Anyways, let's hang this up.
So I went and hung it above the tank, and now we can actually focus on making this tank look good again with our final step, which is some plants. Now I'd love for the plants in here to match the black theme, but unfortunately black plants mean dead plants. So I'm gonna have to stick to some old-fashioned blue plants. I mean green plants. They don't have blue plants. So you already know the drill. I drove to Petco, pretty much bought out their entire stock. And by the way, sorry to anyone that needs to get plants here after I visit. I always buy all the good ones. And I brought them back home. Now for some reason I forgot to click record on my camera during the planting process. But just imagine this is what it looked like. I took the plants, put them in the sand, and I did that with all of them. Yep, pretty revolutionary stuff. Then I filled it with cycled water, which I also forgot to record, but by the end it looked like this. And well, everything on this list is now complete, meaning it's time to get the axolotl inside and do tons of other fun stuff with him to give him the best life after being injured.
Oh, Blacks, I got some good news for you. I don't know if you've ever been in a proper enclosure, but what I'm about to add you to definitely is.
So I brought my new friend over to the enclosure and let him free. Immediately, he was already super active, exploring around the whole thing, which was a good sign.
But I'm gonna be obviously doing more than just watching this guy. I have all these fun things that I want to test with this guy real quick. And the first one is food. Let's test 3 different food sources, starting with this. It's some like freeze-dried bloodworms. Yeah, let me unpackage these.
The goal is to see how quickly Blacks will eat each food source to see which he likes the most. And well, with these bloodworms, she was actually pretty interested, because after like a second, she saw them and snapped, but she missed them. So she tried another attempt at eating them and failed again. But finally, she did actually get a hold of the rest of the worm, and boom, that only took like 10 seconds. Yeah, and she also looked so cute and happy after eating that. Dang, she must have been hungry.
All right, he ate those pretty dang quick, but I have a feeling he's gonna eat these ones even faster. These are proper earthworms, basically. Yeah, let's see how long this one takes.
And this time, the axolotl must have set a world record, because it only took a little over 1 second for her to get a hold of this worm and start devouring it. I mean, let's get an instant replay on that. Nah, look, she was ready for that worm, and yep, she was even happier after having this in her mouth, because it must have tasted spectacular.
Okay, well, the third food source is these things. They're axolotl pellets. I have a feeling that he's not gonna like eat it as fast as those worms. That was like literally under a second, but let's try.
Now this time, let's just say the axolotl wasn't too interested, because it took seconds before she even did anything. But she did end up putting her nose right up to the pellet to figure out what was in front of her. You see, axolotls have pretty bad eyesight, so they usually rely on their nose to scope out stuff. And here, after giving the pellet a very, very thorough sniff, she eventually took a bite at it, tasted it in her mouth for like a second, and ultimately spat it back out. Okay, I guess she doesn't like pellets. But hey, this is good knowledge. I know to stick with the worms now. Anyways, about 10 minutes later, I noticed Blacks had walked herself into the axolotl cave that I'd built for her. Seems like she was just gonna chill in here for a bit. Hey, I'm glad she's liking it and using it.
Now for the final thing I want to test with the axolotl that's currently in the cave is, well, a GoPro. Yep, I've got a GoPro that I'm gonna stick underwater and do some fun stuff with it. All right, click record and let's switch to this camera, baby. Okay, I'm gonna start going underwater.
And yeah, after getting it to the bottom and kind of just sticking it inside the cave, you can see the axolotl's body was actually right here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see since the axolotl matches the color of the rocks, but yeah, she was just chilling in here. To see if I could lure her out, I actually went and picked up some more of her favorite food, which is the worms, of course. At first, I was kind of just waving them around in there, but she didn't really see them. Well, that was until this, when I put the worm a little deeper in, and just like that, the axolotl took it straight from my grip and was now devouring it. Yep, Blacks will never pass up on the opportunity to eat a nice juicy worm, and she was not letting me grab it back, so I decided to just... I've gathered the craziest animal videos on the internet. Here they are. For our first crazy video, these guys were exploring a beach cave when this happened. Yeah, they got absolutely pummeled by a bajillion flies. Like, bro, what do you even do in that situation? You probably accidentally breathe in so many of those flies. Hey, I guess it's a little bit of extra protein. Okay, I feel like something could go terribly wrong in this video, because if you can't already tell, this is a real bear just sitting casually on a motorcycle with some humans. Yeah, but the craziest thing is, this bear starts to blow a horn. Nah, they trained this bear to be the car horn. Yeah, but I'm not sure why everyone here is just acting so casually. I mean, I guess this is Russia. I don't know if this is just a normal everyday thing there, but yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, I'll just let this guy explain this next clip.
Hey, y'all want to see the coolest bottle opener in the world?
Yeah, so basically this dude is holding a mouse in one hand and a glass bottle in the other. He then goes and puts the mouse on top of the bottle, holds the bottle up, and nature does its thing.
Break time!
Now, I found some pretty cool videos of shark cage encounters like this one, where the shark very angrily slams into the cage with its mouth open. To be honest, I don't know why people willingly go inside these cages. It looks pretty scary. But if you didn't know, the clips just get crazier and crazier as the video goes on. So obviously, in this next clip, the shark that attacked the cage was even more aggressive. The shark grabbed onto the cage sideways and literally would not let go. Everyone was screaming inside, but don't worry, I think they're all safe because they were also laughing. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I would go inside of one of these cages willingly. Okay, someone has to explain this video in the comments to me because it makes no sense. Obviously, you can see a bird in front of an iPad, but then this bird starts to use the iPad like a human can. And it starts swiping through the pictures, not randomly or anything. Like, actually, this bird knows what it's doing on the iPad. And eventually, he gets to a picture of a sandwich and literally zooms in on it. And he starts doing a happy dance because apparently he loves sandwiches. What? I genuinely think this bird might be smarter than me. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, you are about to see a bear go above and beyond for a meal, because apparently there's a little worm bug thing in the soil under this tree, and when the bear saw it, he walked up to the tree and he did this. Yeah, bro literally started to knock down the tree until he literally did knock down the tree. And then he proceeded to dig through the rubble for this meal. Good job, bro. Hopefully that was worth the effort for the worm. Nice. Okay, remember that bug swarm clip from earlier? Well, I think I found one that's even funnier. Like, what the heck is going on? This is genuinely pure chaos. Whistles, screaming, car horns, and a billion bugs. Nah, bro, never put me in this situation. Okay, now you might be wondering, why on earth is a snake slithering on a power line? Well, apparently this snake saw some birds up on this power line, so somehow he got up onto here and is now absolutely risking his life to get a meal. I mean, I know some snakes are good climbers, but this has got to be extra risky considering there's no extra tree branches for him to grab onto if he falls. And yeah, I'm not sure what the snake was expecting because birds do actually have wings. Every time the snake got close, the birds kind of just flew away. Yeah, well, good luck getting down, bro, because I have no clue how you even got up here. Okay, this might be the most evil pet owner ever, because look at this.
Rocks, paper, scissors. Paper, scissors.
He taught his bird to say rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then he put him in front of a mirror to infinitely play rock, paper, scissors with himself.
Paper, scissors. Paper, scissors.
So yeah, this bird is in a never-ending game of rock, paper, scissors. Is anyone gonna tell him he's playing against himself? Anybody? Oh, now this one's actually pretty crazy. You see, this dude is an ultra hummingbird enthusiast. But usually hummingbirds are impossible to get close to. So he built this super cool contraption, which he fills with nectar, straps to his head, and then the birds will fly extremely close to his face to drink it. And as long as he doesn't move at all, this just lets him watch and study his favorite birds for hours. Now, this is actually pretty wholesome. Everyone drop W's in the comments for the red hat hummingbird guy. Okay, this will probably be the most monkeys you ever see in one video. I'm not sure where this was recorded or why there's so many monkeys just running in the street, but yeah, there is. So the crazy part of this video is when fireworks randomly went off and of course spooked all the monkeys, causing them to go bananas. Yeah, there is a genuine stampede of monkeys. Are these guys just gonna live in the city now or what? I don't really know. Okay, if I was this diver, I would be so mad because you can see he puts his GoPro camera up to this octopus to try and get some cool footage. But if we switch to the GoPro's view, we can see things quickly started to go wrong because the octopus started to climb out of its hole and actually put one of his tentacles onto the camera. But he didn't stop there because he then completely climbed onto the GoPro so the diver couldn't record anything anymore. Dang, I guess this octopus was camera shy. But thankfully the diver had a backup camera so we could see the struggle he went through to get this octopus off. Yeah, it took about like 2 minutes, but eventually he was successful and the octopus swam back off to the sea floor. And it's cool because you can see the octopus change its color as it swam away to camouflage. Okay, so we all know the story of the tortoise versus the hare. Well, some people actually recreated that in real life. Yeah, might sound stupid because you would just expect the hare to obviously win, but similar to the actual story, halfway through the hare stopped to take a break because he was so far in the lead, but the tortoise was still going with all of his might and overtook the hare and eventually made it to the finish line to win the race. Dang, who knew slow and steady actually really does win the race? Okay, I'm not sure what's up with bears acting like humans in this video because this security camera caught a bear that walked up to this family's car and for some reason it got up on its hind legs like a human and using its arms, it just opened the car door casually and started rummaging through the car. I have no clue how it just knew to open the door like that, but yeah, apparently it just ate all the food inside and then just walked away. Animals are getting too smart, I swear. This next clip documents something not many people have successfully been able to record, but basically it shows a caterpillar being born. Oh, but not only that, because it also shows that same caterpillar when it went into its chrysalis stage. And yeah, I just think it's insanely crazy to see the caterpillar crawl out of its old skin and eventually turn from this green shell into a fully grown butterfly, which then eventually is able to crawl out from the chrysalis and is able to restart the life cycle itself. Okay, this bird is about to sing a song and I want you guys to guess what song he's singing. Yeah, he's singing the If You're Happy and You Know It song. And the craziest part is when he taps the beak on the table at the part where you're supposed to clap your hands. Like, how do you even teach your bird to do that? I'm in awe with how smart some of these birds are. Okay, this video basically shows an orangutan from a zoo interacting with a dog. And you won't believe how locked in this dog gets at the orangutan. Because for some reason, the orangutan starts to try and annoy the dog by banging on the glass, which gets the dog so mad. Yeah, this dude looks like he wants blood. And the best part is when the orangutan starts to put a stick through the hole in the glass to tease the dog, but the dog doesn't even budge at this point because he's had enough of this monkey's rage bait. What an interesting interaction. Okay, take a listen to what this guy has to say real quick.
We've got our friendly neighborhood spider who's chilling over here. And the cockroach.
Yeah, I thought this video was so crazy because it shows why Australians actually love keeping these giant spiders in their house. Because in it, he catches a cockroach from the shower to demonstrate how good these spiders are at hunting. Yep, within like half a second, the spider pounced onto the cockroach and started to devour it. So basically, having these things in your house is like a built-in pest control. As long as you're fine with seeing giant spiders every now and then, which I definitely would not be okay with. Now, this video shows the most insane alien-looking creature on Earth. Yeah, this isn't fake. It's actually a super rare type of moth. But what makes this video even more crazy is usually these moths look like this, without those black hairy things coming out the back. But on special occasions, the males will inflate those things coming out of their body to look like this insane Goliath alien-looking creature. So yeah, this is super rare and I hope I never see this. Okay, so this may just look like a fun home video of people who found a dancing bug.
I think we should get music to go to
But oh, this is not a friendly bug. It's a toe biter. And trust me, I've made a video on getting these guys as a pet and I know they are not friendly. So that's why I wasn't surprised when this happened. Okay, bro, I just thought that scream was too funny to not show. Let's see that one more time. Okay, I know the quality on this video is so trash, but it's literally because it's just so insane. Because if you look closely, this is a bee and this is a nail. And this bee is pulling the nail out of the wall. Yeah, and that's like the whole video. Like, is that not insane how a bee is pulling a nail out of the wall? This is either the strongest bee ever, or this is the weakest nail ever. Anyways, yeah, he pulled it out so you could go inside the hole. It's actually very smart. Okay, this video just shows another casual day in Australia.
So the owners had come in to have their morning shower and found the snake curled up.
So yeah, I guess living in Australia means you're okay sharing your house with insane animals like massive snakes. But I kind of feel like this snake was just trying to get clean and take a shower. Like, bro, why are you removing him from the shower? And then even worse, they kidnapped him into this big dark bag. Wow. That is just, that's evil. And earlier, I showed shark encounters from inside cages, but now we got shark encounters outside a cage. And this is where things could go seriously wrong. But thankfully, these were trained professionals under the water, so when the sharks started to show signs of aggression, they knew exactly what to do. You see, the sharks kept advancing towards the divers, and they had to actually keep pushing them away with their hands. And eventually, this shark went up to this diver and actually started to take bites at him. The diver quickly tried to use all of his strength to push back the shark, and thankfully after a bit the shark actually did back off. Dang, that was a close call, but thankfully the diver stayed calm and did everything right.
There it is.
This first one just had a bunch of random insects, but in this video I'll be flipping 100 different rocks in the Puerto Rican rainforests to find all sorts of weird lizards, venomous spiders, and even crazy snakes you've never seen. Way over to object number 2, and literally right under the piece of wood was this insane alien looking creature. They're called tailless whip scorpions, and I've actually made entire videos about keeping these guys as pets. It's crazy we already found something this weird and rare, and so I continued exploring. Eventually I came across object number 3, which underneath had this weird looking white worm thing. But in fact, this is not a worm at all. It's a baby beetle. Basically, over time, these little larvas will start to mutate and eventually will break out of their shell and become a beetle. And this one is absolutely massive, so it's probably gonna turn into some giant mutant rainforest beetle with a massive horn. Hopefully we'll find one of those later, but anyways, I went and flipped rock 4, which had nothing underneath. From now on, I'm not going to show anything with nothing, so it'll just be constant cool rainforest animals. And that's exactly what I found with rock number 7, because underneath was this weird white thing in a hole. But after moving around the dirt a bit, I realized this was actually a wolf spider's home. And that massive white thing, well, that's its egg sac, and soon it'll hatch into hundreds of mini spiders. You can see the spider mom was super defensive and did not leave the egg sac at all. So I put her home back and kept exploring. Soon after, I came across the next object, which when I tried to flip it, well, it kind of broke apart in my hands. And this happened because if you take a closer look on here, there's tons of these little white bugs crawling all over it. These are termites, which you probably already know eat wood like this. They'll literally just set up their entire colonies inside of these dead logs and just eat them from the inside out. Now, under object number 10, I found the coolest thing so far.
Oh shoot, what is that?
You see, on the bottom side of the log, I saw this little tail thing poking out from under the bark. At first, I thought it was some sort of worm, but if you look closely, you can see it has a bunch of tiny little scales on it, so it can't be a worm. So there was only one thing to do: get out the backpack. You see, in the backpack, I've packed tons of items to be able to interact with the wildlife out here. And the first item we're taking out is these tweezers. Using the tweezers, I started to peel back some of the bark on the log until I eventually revealed the animal. It really looked so much like a worm, but you can tell by how it was slithering around that it was actually a snake. These are called Brahmini blind snakes, and they're the smallest species in the whole world. Basically, this species spends their whole life underground just like worms do. And a fun fact about them is they're all female. Basically, they have the ability to clone their genes into an egg, and that's how more snakes are born. So if you ever see one of these in the wild, just know it has the same exact genes as this one does. It's pretty crazy. Now, by this point, I reached my first little water section of the trail, which was absolutely beautiful.
Well, dang, I don't really know if you can hear me, but this is a pretty nice area, as you can see. But basically, I just want to see if I can see something under the water with the GoPro.
Now, obviously, GoPros are waterproof, which lets me do this. And at first, it was kind of just a cloudy mess, but then this fish came out of nowhere. Knowing that there was at least one fish down here, I put the camera back under and figured out that there was a whole school of them. However, since the water was so cloudy, there was even more of those same fish, and now I could clearly see that these were mountain mullets, which are a species native to these Puerto Rican rainforests. You see, this species is really cool because they actually are born in oceans. And once they're born, they swim up the rivers into Puerto Rico to get to these remote rainforest streams. Then, when it's time to lay eggs, they swim back to the ocean and repeat the process. It's very cool. Also, by the way, right next next to these fish were a ton of these little aquatic snails, which are super important for the environment because they eat up all the algae. Anyways, a bit later, I came across this rock with a little lizard sitting on top. When I got close, it of course ran away, but I figured this was a good omen, so I flipped it, and underneath there was nothing. But since that lizard was sitting on top of the rock, I figured that underneath of it could actually be its home. So I had an idea, and I got out the backpack, and inside I took out this little container of super worms. Then I basically put a bunch of them onto my hand and just put them under the rock in case the lizard wanted to eat some of them. Now I was just gonna leave them and walk away, but then I noticed that that same exact lizard that was sitting on top of the rock had actually already ran over and ate one of the worms. And yeah, he was enjoying it a ton. You're welcome, buddy. There's more where that came from. And speaking of lizards eating stuff, nearby I also went and flipped this rock that had nothing underneath, but out of the corner of my eye, I noticed another lizard. And this guy instantly went on the run and started parkouring across the rocks to get away from me. But eventually I did get a closer look and realized this was a green anole lizard, and it looked like there was something actually massive in its mouth. And the thing sticking out of its mouth kind of looked like the belly of another lizard, which would make sense because these green anole lizards are cannibalistic killers. And when they're hungry, they'll just straight up eat their friends. Yeah, talk about fake friends, am I right? Anyways, a bit later, I flipped this rock here, and underneath, I found my first ant colony. You see, ant colonies are a bit rarer in rainforests like this, which is why I didn't see any up to this point, so it was a kind of cool find. And then the rock I flipped right after also had another ant colony of the same exact species. Now, I'm pretty sure this species is called big-headed ants, which I can tell because as you can see, some of the workers have massive heads that are like 3 times the size of normal workers. This happens because at birth, the normal worker ants find the biggest and strongest pupa and spray a special pheromone on them. Then as the pupa grow older and older, they just grow up with massive heads and help move around some of the larger stuff that the small workers can't. In this case, the big-headed workers were helping move the eggs back underground since proper snake behind it. But as you can see, it was a little bit camera shy because it instantly slithered into the bushes before I could get a good look. So I got out the backpack, and inside I packed this snake hook. Basically, people use these snake hooks to pick up deadly venomous snakes so they don't get bit. And obviously I didn't want to get bit, so using the hook, I started to dig around in the grass it slithered into and tried to look for it. But unfortunately, the hook just ended up breaking.
Bruh, it broke. Oh my gosh.
But this was still a good sign for cool rare animals, and trust me, we'll be finding more snakes very soon. Now, the next rock I flipped had this weird little fuzzy worm under it. Now, even after searching online, I couldn't really figure out what this is. I thought it could be like a moth cocoon, but I'm pretty sure those only grow on trees, so comment if you know what this is. But behind that crawled out this little bug, which, oh, I have experience with these guys a lot. These are called isopods, and they're sometimes called roly-polies because they roll up into a ball when threatened. But I love these guys because I always put them in the terrariums I build at home because they eat all the dead matter and keep everything clean. So yeah, thanks for existing, guys. You're awesome. I kept on venturing through the rainforest and eventually came across this fence with a few bricks laid on the floor under it. It looked like the perfect spot for animals to be hiding under, and I was right because under that first brick was this massive beetle. And after getting a closer look, I could tell this was some sort of rhinoceros beetle, which are called rhinoceros beetles because the males grow these massive horns on their head, which they use to fight each other with. But this is a female, which is why it doesn't have a horn. In fact, if you remember that massive beetle larva from earlier, I think that actually turns into one of these. So yeah, that's pretty cool that we got to find one of these. Under the next brick was this little centipede bug, and under the third brick was this little slug. I'm not sure what species this is, but I left my phone pointing at it for a couple minutes and got this cool time-lapse footage of it slugging around. Now, as I kept on venturing, I found a cool bug under this rock. At first, I know you can't really see anything, but if I zoom in and highlight this spot here, there's actually a cave cricket right here, which is just super camouflaged. But these guys are cool because they basically have the ability to teleport when they sense danger. Yeah, they really just move so fast that it looks like teleportation. That's pretty crazy. But this next rock I flipped had something I've never seen before. Of course, right there, you can tell that there was a little worm under the dirt, but above and to the left of it was this weird little white thing. I thought at first it could be like a termite or something, but after getting a closer look, I realized it resembled the shape of a worm egg sac. For some reason, I just never thought that worms came out of eggs. But yeah, apparently this is what it looks like when they're born. They just gotta rip their way out of an egg. Dang, that's cool. Now, by this point on the trail, I had gotten to this little section of paved road, and while I was walking on it, I ended up coming across this.
Oh shoot, wait, look at this. Oh shoot, it's a snake. Look at that.
But if you're wondering why it's not moving and blurred, well, that's because it was actually run over by a car here. Unfortunately, accidents like this are bound to happen on roads, but this is still a good sign for finding more cool animals like this. And thankfully, that's exactly what I found as I made it back to the trail. You see, the first rock I flipped, I saw a little burrow underneath, but I didn't even realize that there was was something sitting on the rock I was grabbing.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I did not see that. Hold on, there's a hairy spider camouflaged on this rock right now.
This is actually a Puerto Rican tarantula, and they're extremely rare to just find out in the open in the day like this. Yeah, they usually spend their entire days underground in some sort of burrow. For this tarantula, I had to get out the backpack, and from inside, I once again pulled out this container of super worms. Then, using some tweezers, I basically just started to wave around the worms in front of the tarantula's face to see if he'd eat them. And yeah, it didn't really seem like he was liking it too much, because he got really defensive and ran into his burrow. He even started to run towards me, and since these guys are venomous, I did not want to make him any more angry, and I put his home back on top.
Sorry, buddy. I'll leave you alone now.
Anyways, I kept flipping random objects as I continued down the trail and wasn't finding many animals for a while. But I did find some pretty random stuff, like just a whole fruit under this leaf, which was like kind of mushy and moldy, so I didn't try and eat it. And also, while walking, I found this weird bone thing on the side of the trail. I'm not 100% sure what this bone belongs to, but I do know Puerto Rico used to have some like wild pigs running around back in the day, which I guess this would make sense if this was a pig bone, but let me know in the comments if you're a bone expert. I'm not really. Now, under Object 92, there was this little millipede, but also right next to it was this weird black bug I've never seen before. But I figured out it's called a rove beetle, and what makes them so cool are these spikes on their back. You see, when they dig under the dirt a bit, they poke out those spikes on their back to mimic little claws or pinchers poking out of the dirt, which will scare away predators. Also, apparently, they have wings they can just unfold like a robot and let them fly away. I have no idea how nature evolved to do this. Now, by this point, I was starting to get worried because it was starting to get late, and I knew there were still bigger tarantulas and scorpions to be found out here. And yeah, the next few rocks I flipped also had nothing, but that was until object number 96 when I found this. It was another tarantula, and this one is actually a Puerto Rican pink-toed tarantula, which is a slightly different species.
Okay, now this is cool. It's bigger than that first tarantula we just found. And since this guy's a bit bigger, I think I actually have something in the backpack for it.
From inside, I pulled out this stick, which actually lets me attach my GoPro camera to it. Basically, I want to use this stick to get the GoPro super close to the tarantula without having to worry about getting bit, and that's exactly what I did, because I went and gently nudged the leg of the tarantula with the GoPro, and it actually woke up. Then I bumped it again, and this time it ran around to the other side of the log. Finally, I just waved it around a bit more in front of him, and he wasn't really doing anything. To be honest, I don't really know what I expected. And now, as you can see, I was getting pretty near the end of the trail, and underneath some of the final objects, I was finding no new animals. And eventually, it got time to flip object 100, so I looked around for the best thing to flip. And while I was exploring, I actually came across this dirt area with this metal piece of trash in the middle. Of course, I looked inside of it to see if there was anything, and I didn't see anything at first, but for some reason, I decided to turn on my phone flashlight to double check. And that's when I found this. It's a scorpion. And not only was there that, because when I moved the trash to get a better angle at the scorpion, I found a second scorpion also on the walls of this trash. These are Puerto Rican bark scorpions, and they've actually got pretty painful stings.
Bro, this is so insane. This whole time I've been trying to find scorpions, and literally on object 100, this is where the scorpions are. Well, hey, I'm not complaining because I've packed something in the backpack specifically for if I found these guys, and it's a flashlight. Now, you may already know this, but if you turn on the flashlight and go through the modes or something, eventually it'll turn blue or purple, as you can see. And now if we go and shine this inside of here, look at that. Scorpions.
I just found probably the most alien looking creature on Earth. It is literally a mutant creature with the mouth of a spider, the body of a scorpion, and claws that look like saws. And that's not even mentioning that it has some of the weirdest and creepiest behavior out of any animal ever. But despite how weird it is, apparently there's a website that will sell you one as a pet. After placing the order, they said they would ship it out in a few days. So in the meantime, to build the enclosure, I got out the tank and a couple big boxes of rocks. Yeah, I got a lot of rocks for this. This is because I needed them to start stacking around the outer part of the enclosure to try to make it look like a cave. You see, in the wild, tailless whip scorpions like to hide in between rocks because, I guess that's just where they feel safe. I don't really know. And to connect the rocks together, I originally tried to use my handy dandy hot glue gun and, glue them, but the rocks were just too heavy and it kept collapsing over and over.
Oh my gosh, these stupid rocks keep falling.
Yeah, it wasn't really working, so instead I resorted to using some animal safe spray foam like always, and I covered it in a bunch of the big rocks and then a bunch of tiny little rocks, and I repeated that process on the left and right side of the enclosure.
and check it out. Hopefully you see the vision I'm going for. You know, there's a cave. We're making a cave. There's rocks on the walls. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool.
Now, this is a good start. However, you'd be dumb to think this is all I'm doing. I'm making this the best enclosure ever, so I could show off all the cool things the alien creature can do. It's gonna be so cool to watch. Anyways, the next step is to do the floor and decorations. And for the floor, we want it to be high quality and cheap, which is why I've got a bunch of these coconut fiber bricks, which are about to expand into a ton of dirt.
Seriously, these are so cool. You just add a big tub of water like this. Ooh, I'm getting that everywhere. And over time, it's gonna start to absorb that water, and they're gonna expand and become a bunch of dirt, you know? And boom, look at that. It went from those boring bricks to this nice, moist dirt. Yeah, boy. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but you know, it's dirt. It's pretty necessary.
To top off the floor, I mixed in some wood chips, dead leaves, some moss, and a couple rocks. Now, apparently the alien creature I'm getting has the ability to dig burrows out in this dirt with its claws, but I have no idea if mine's gonna do that, so hopefully it does. That would be pretty dang cool to watch. Now, to decorate the enclosure, I got these super thin sticks and started to glue them along the top. As you can see, they kind of look like tree roots, which adds this cool effect to the build that makes it look like there's trees growing above this cave. Nice. And of course, this wouldn't be a TerraGreen enclosure without some plants in here, which, as you can see, I've got a few of. Now, these plants are actually super important because water droplets will gather on top of the leaves, which will easily allow the alien creature to sip them up and get hydrated, which, you know, is good. You know, we gotta make sure he can drink water and stuff. But while I was at Walmart getting the plants, I also found this absolutely majestical stone statue of an alien.
Hi, how are you?
Because, you know, we're putting a tailless whip scorpion inside of here, which is basically an alien. So yeah, I put that in to finish off the decorations.
Bruh, this guy's got a big forehead. That's a real shame. Thankfully, my forehead isn't that big.
Okay, the first 3 steps are all complete, but now it's time to get some technology in this enclosure to make it stand out. The first of which is this big machine right here, which can do something very cool. To get it to work, I had to fill up this container with a bunch of water, and after it was filled up, I put it back on top and finally twisted this knob right here.
And now check this out. Out of the end of this tube, a bunch of smoke, as you can see, or fog, not smoke. It'd probably be bad if there's smoke coming out of it. Dang, that is actually cool. Look, it just comes out. I don't know how a machine just turns water into fog. That's pretty cool.
Anyways, this is actually very useful, since as long as I turn this on about once a day, it will keep the humidity levels at a good spot for this enclosure. Also, it's just cool and adds to the cave ambience, you know? And speaking of cave ambience, this next technology is gonna add to it even more. It's this super tiny Bluetooth speaker, which I buried in the dirt and covered with a leaf. With this, all I gotta do is connect it to my phone with Bluetooth, and I can play stuff like cave noises, which is pretty cool. You know, adds to the cave ambience.
But of course, I don't have to make this speaker just play cave noises. I can make it play literally anything, like the most annoying sound in the world, 1 hour. What is this sound? What? This is so stupid. Okay, definitely wasn't lying. This is probably the most annoying sound in the world. I don't think the alien's gonna like this if I play this when he's in here. Okay, I get it. Can you just turn off by now? Turn off. Okay. Oh, okay. Please turn off. Please.
Okay, anyways, this enclosure is finished enough to be able to add the tailless whip scorpion alien creature in here. So yeah.
Well, I just went and picked up this package. It says live animals, and you know, I'm pretty sure it's the alien. Now, as you guys know, this thing is insanely creepy. I mean, I showed you that video of it literally crawling out of its skin. So this is definitely gonna be my most creepiest pet. But anyways, let's get this in the enclosure I built for it, and let's go, baby.
So I got out a knife and opened the package up.
And oh, here it is. Because you can't really see anything. There's paper towels everywhere. Okay, hold on. Let me open this up.
I then very carefully removed the lid and paper towels to expose the alien creature.
Oh my gosh. This thing is gonna jump out at me. I have no idea. I'm just gonna close the glass though. Yeah, get that closed. Thank you very much.
Now, at first, it was completely still, and actually, I couldn't even tell if it was alive. But eventually, I noticed signs of movement, and then soon enough, it fully started to climb out of its container. Very creepily, it slowly made its way over to a rock to go into hiding. But it wasn't just any rock. Of course, it was the rock with the alien statue on top.
Bruh.
Well. I told you guys this was an alien. Only an alien would go under the rock with an alien on top of it. But anyways, as I said at the start of the video, I'm gonna be pranking my mom with this thing. But before I do something like that, let's just see what it's capable of by trying to feed it something. I don't know. Let's just put some food in here though.
And after doing some research, it turns out that tailless whip scorpions absolutely love crickets. And thankfully, I always have a bag of crickets since all my favorite pets eat them. And immediately after putting them in, they actually all looked very happy. These stupid crickets really thought that this was their new home and they were just going around eating moss. Well, little did they know that this home actually belongs to my tailless whip scorpion. And unfortunately for one of the crickets, it made a wrong turn. It walked straight into the crevice of the rock that the alien creature was sitting inside. I thought for sure that that cricket was a goner, but miraculously, about a minute later, it walked out the rock unscathed. A little later, I saw the alien creature in a different spot hanging onto a wall. And just like before, a cricket walked straight up to it. And in fact, this cricket was extra stupid. He started to walk right in front of the alien's literal mouth. Bruh. But for some reason, the tailless whip scorpion was not eating it at all.
Okay, it's the next day and I figured out why the alien creature in here isn't eating. It's because this species is partly nocturnal, and as you can see, I just have massive studio lights shining super brightly on here. I guess he just doesn't want to eat in the light. So anyways, I want to let this guy just kind of adjust to the new home for about a week, and I guess I'll just come back then and we can do the rest of the stuff.
In the meantime, here's this cool video by Aquarimax Pets of the same species eating, if you're wondering what that looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, let's get back to the content.
Okay, this is the absolute best part of the video because I'm gonna show my mom this alien creature and then I'm gonna prank her. And if you're wondering how I'm gonna prank her, just take a look at this thing. It's basically a one-on-one model of the tailless whip scorpion. And yeah, I'm basically just gonna throw it at her. She is not gonna be happy. But anyway, she's not home right now, so I guess I'll just cut to when she is and we'll show her this. Okay, you can come in. All right, so I just got a new pet, and I just want to show you it. Okay. Now come stand over here, and you can try and tell what it is. I just want you to guess what kind of pet I got.
Oh my gosh, it looks super cool. Where's it at?
Can you see anything in there?
I'm trying, my heart is.
Okay, well, it's hidden behind this rock, but...
Shut up, dude.
Do you know what it is?
No.
If you look very closely back under that rock, there's something right there.
Oh my god, dude, I'm scared.
For some reason, she couldn't really see it, so I gently woke it up with a spatula, and here's her reaction.
Oh my god, dude! What the heck is this?
You see that?
Seriously? No, no, yeah, that's alien and mindfulness. Oh
it's an alien in there.
My goodness.
Anyways, I have this fog machine, so we can put some fog on it, and that's pretty cool.
That's super cool, but seriously, where did that come from?
I don't know, the space or something?
Space.
Okay, anyways, that's all I gotta show you. Do you think it's cool?
No, dude, it looks so freaking weird. Yeah, it looks like evil.
Well, it's a good thing you'll never have to see it again. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Now that she had seen it and left, I got the one-on-one model out and put it on my hand. This is gonna be really funny.
Okay, could you come back in here? I just forgot to show you one thing.
Oh my god, dude! Dude,
you wanna say hello to it?
No, go away!
Yeah.
You're such a jerk, that's not even real.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper.
Oh my god.
What do you rate it out of 10?
Oh my gosh. Whew, I don't know, I'm still confused.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so she rated it in I don't know, I'm still confused out of 10, which translates to probably a 10 out of 10. So yeah, I guess she likes it and I'm gonna have to get more animals like this. I've scoured the internet for the craziest insect videos I could find. Beetles painting pictures, insane slow motions, and so much more. Anyways, our first video is this, which shows what happens when some dude left a piece of cheesecake out near his ant colony. And well, let's just say the ants didn't waste any time to absolutely start decimating it. If this doesn't show why you shouldn't leave food out, then I don't know what does. Dang. Now, as the video goes on, the clips get crazier and crazier. Where in this second clip, a guy got a video up on his phone of a bunch of butterflies flying around and put his pet mantises in front of it. And yeah, I guess the mantises must have been hungry because you can tell this guy was absolutely locked in, ducking and weaving and lining up the perfect shot to attack the butterflies. But yeah, he was very confused why he couldn't grab it. He was trying multiple times. And then there was this mantis that was legit staring at the screen for a minute before he made his first attack. But yeah, for him, it was no different. He couldn't really grab the butterflies either. First, we got iPad kids. Now, we got iPad mantises. Really, bro? What's next? iPad frogs? Wait a second. That already exists. Okay. Okay, next is one of the craziest videos I've seen of ants. And you may not be able to tell what's going on right away, but you see this dangling thing? This is all ants. And it's like a bajillion ants all joined together, starting up at the corner corner of this roof, spanning all the way down. You can see so many ants grabbing onto each other's bodies to make a literal ant bridge. And on top of the bridge, you can see more ants just walking around on top of it, doing stuff like carrying eggs and food. And this bridge goes all the way down, curves back up, and connects to a wasp nest. Yep, these ants are so genius, they built this bridge to straight up attack a wasp nest, and now they can probably feed their colony for days. Wow. And wait a second, if these ants can just stand on the roof here, why did they just walk from here to here? Are you guys sure this giant bridge was necessary? Okay, anyways, it's still crazy. Now for the next video, which shows this little thing. This is a beetle grub, and this is gonna show the process of how they grow up into a beetle over time. Oh, by the way, this is not a normal beetle species. This is the largest beetle species in the world, a Hercules beetle. And as the time goes on, you can see even just this grub starts getting much larger than what a normal fully grown beetle would be. And after literally over a year, this massive creature starts to go into its pupa stage, where you can see exactly how it transforms from a worm creature into a beetle. First, you can see the legs starting to grow, then the giant horns start to emerge from the head that the species have, and boom, after a long 500 days, the beetle emerges from its pupa, and yeah, that's how long it takes for one of these beauties to be born. By the way, it's so cool to watch these guys fly. This is not an edited sound or anything. It actually sounds like a literal helicopter when their wings are flapping. It's insane. Oh, and in these next videos, they show a ton of cool bugs crawling around on this guy's hand, like orchid mantises and leaf insects, which are super cool because they look like leaves, obviously. The main reason I'm showing you this is because this guy also lets other stuff crawl on him, like these insanely creepy creatures. Yeah, even TerraGreen would not let those crawl on me. What the heck even are those? But yeah, he also lets stuff go on his face, like this giant moth. Dang. And a Hercules beetle from earlier, which, like, dang bro, you gotta be careful with. That giant horn could easily poke your eye out. But actually, respect to you for keeping all these insanely cool insects. It's actually so cool. Now, earlier, I showed mantises attacking a screen, but if you wanted to see what it looks like when a mantis eats real food, this is it. And actually, this is a massive locust, so it's pretty cool to see a mantis eat this whole thing, since it's pretty much as big as him. But first, the mantis starts devouring its head with its alien mouth, then it works its way down the body. And yeah, the mantis basically takes no breaks while eating. The endurance is actually pretty dang impressive. And by the end, there was nothing but scraps on the floor, and the mantis's belly was pretty dang big, which makes sense, he just ate a lot. This next video I found shows this insane time-lapse footage of leafcutter ants doing their signature thing, cutting leaves. In it, you can see how they all work together over time, cutting out these circular pieces to absolutely decimate this leaf till it's no more. The scientists that filmed it even got this super close-up footage showing exactly how their mandibles cut through the leaves, showing how it works almost super similar to how scissors work. It's crazy how some animals in nature have evolved to do this. But the coolest thing is how we got this footage that shows while a leaf might just start with one ant cutting it, that one ant will take her leaf back to the colony and let all the other workers know where that leaf is. So that way they can all swarm it and basically speed run to chop the whole thing up. Yeah, it's super cool how these guys work as a team. Have you ever wondered how so many ants are born? Well, it all starts when the queen ants and the male ants are mating, which is shown in this video. This is the queen ant and this is the male. And you can see exactly how much more massive the queens are than the males. And it's actually kind of funny because oftentimes many males will latch onto the same female all at the same time and try and mate at the same time. And sometimes the female will even try and fly while this is all happening, which doesn't exactly work very well with all that extra weight weighing her down. Yet somehow the males managed to stay clinging on. Dang. Okay, you won't believe this next video, because in it, a kid decided for some reason it'd be a good idea to get pet bed bugs. Yes, like the things that bite you when you sleep. He literally built them a natural standing enclosure and made a mini mattress for them to sleep under. And yeah, since they were his pet, he had to feed them. So he let them crawl on his arm and suck his blood. Yeah, if you couldn't already tell, this isn't just some random kid, this is me. Yeah, last year I made a video about getting pet bed bugs, but I just thought I had to get a spot on the craziest insect videos, because yeah, I had to be the first person to get pet bed bugs. But by the way, guys, my mom made me get rid of them for some reason. I don't know why.
Mom, I was just wondering why you made me get rid of the pet bed bugs.
Because we don't want those in the house.
The pet bed bugs?
Yes, absolutely.
I thought they were cute.
No, they'll be biting us and we had to get rid of them.
Okay, next up, have you ever wondered how an ant stinger works? Well, whether you have or haven't, it's actually pretty interesting because this scientist caught an extreme close-up video exactly of how it works. Basically, he got an ant stinger right up to a thin layer of wax paper and let it pierce through it. And right as it pierces through, you can literally see droplets of venom drip off the end of the stinger. So yeah, every time you're stung by an ant in the wild on an extremely tiny scale, this is exactly what's happening under your skin. And the craziest thing is how thin these stingers are, because here they are next to a human hair. Yeah, the tip of the stinger is like half of the width of the hair. That is insanely thin. All right, you guys got to see this next video because it shows these beans. And yeah, you might be thinking, bruh, TerraGreen, where's the insect? Well, check this out. These beans can quite literally jump, and that's because there's an insect inside of them. In fact, a larva of a moth is inside of these beans. And many larvas like this species have learned to jump by flinging the end of their tail against the ground. And when you look very closely at this bean, you can see the little larva inside flinging himself up against the top of the bean to make enough momentum to send it flying into the air. And in this time-lapse footage, you can see how they actually move a pretty good amount over the course of a few hours. But yeah, after about half a year inside of one of these beans, they turn into a moth that looks kind of like this. Pretty interesting. This next video is sick though, because in it, a dude decided to give his pet beetle some paint brushes. And surprisingly, they actually took a hold of them perfectly. And yeah, they literally just started to walk around, dragging the edge of the paintbrush along the canvas, making a beautiful work of art. I mean, they weren't perfect, and they did paint a little bit on his table, but for the most part, they stuck to the canvas. He even let the beetles choose the colors they wanted to paint with. So yeah, you could say the beetles had full artistic control. And by the end, this is what it looked like. Now this is modern art. This could easily sell to some art museum for an insane amount of money, because like the fact that beetles painted this makes it so cool. I'm being so serious. Insect House, the guy that made this video, you could like actually reach out to some art museums and actually sell this thing for like $1 million. I've seen some crazy modern art sell for insane amounts of money. Actually do it, bro. I'm being serious. Okay, the next video shows something nasty, because we all know roaches, right? Like they're just some chill little insects. Well, I filmed this video that shows how they're born. And yeah, this isn't a clam or anything. This is an egg sac, and yeah, that's a ton of roaches coming out. Nah. Basically, when the mom roaches are ready to have babies, they develop their egg sacs in the back of their body, which you can see right here and here. And a day before they hatch, they drop them on the ground. And basically, each one of these slits in the egg sac is a baby roach that's about to hatch. And yeah, literally all at the same time, you can see the bottom of it starts to slowly expand. And these little white worm things start to poke out. And these are all the new roaches that are now born, and they're gonna go run around and find homes for themselves. Dang, sorry if you're eating, but to be fair, if you're eating, you probably would have clicked off the video by now. Alright, second to last video, and I've saved some of my favorites for last. Because in this footage, a guy put out this red sugar water and then let his ants loose near it. Obviously, ants are super attracted to sugar, so they started to swarm it. But the thing that's so interesting about these ants is that they're a special kind of species that can store extra liquid inside their abdomen. Yep, you heard that right, and you can see it super clearly in this footage. As this ant sucks up the sugar water, his abdomen gets way larger and way more red, and it's actually insane to see. But by far the coolest thing to see is this footage of one of the bigger ants who was full of sugar water going up to this empty ant and literally feeding it some of its sugar water. You can see this one's abdomen getting smaller as this one's gets bigger. And yeah, it's kind of nasty how they just regurgitate the food into each other's mouths, but they're ants. I don't really think they care. Okay, now our last video. This video shows a snail hatching from an egg, which is pretty cool to see because like I didn't even realize, but yeah, snails literally hatch with their shell. I don't know why I didn't really think to realize that, but yeah, they do. But the real reason I'm showing you this is because this is the most insane snail species of all time. Because this video also shows what happens over the months as this snail species grows up. It literally keeps getting larger and larger and larger, bigger than any snail species you've probably ever seen before, until after 3 years it is fully grown. And oh yeah, this is a giant African land snail, the largest snail in the entire world. And yeah, they are absolutely insane. The fact that this is bigger than a hand is like, what? I mean, What? Alright, that was all of the craziest insect videos I could find.
What could go wrong? Let's just buy this at the cart.
So in this video, I'm gonna build it at home, show off everything about keeping a pet cow killer, which means yes, I am going to let it crawl on my arm. If it stings me, I am going to be in. So I got out the enclosure and a bunch of desert rocks to build its home. To start, I stacked each of the rocks in this pattern that would create a canyon look in here.
Now, the reason I bought these types of rocks is because they look like the rocks in real canyons. But yeah, because they look so realistic, these rocks were very expensive. Yes, that's actually how much they costed. We don't talk about that.
You see, cow killers live in deserts in the wild, which sort of makes sense because all of the most deadly and painful animals live in the desert. Anyways, to finish the canyon look in this enclosure, I got some of this excavator sand stuff.
You see, if I add this bowl of water to this tub of the sand and, you know, pour it in there like that, then just go and mix it up with my hand. And after a minute, it turns it into this clay substrate, which I can kind of make into a nice ball of, poop. Yes, it's kind of nasty. But basically, using this clay, I'm going to go and stick it in between each of these rocks to kind of glue them together, and we're going to have a nice completed canyon look in here.
Anyways, after putting that all over the rocks and letting it dry, it ended up looking pretty good. But the next step to finishing this desert is, of course, to put some sand in here. Because, you know, deserts, they have to have sand.
But before putting the sand in, first I've got these big bags of black rocks. And apparently, if I scatter this around the floor before putting the sand in, it should help absorb any extra moisture, and that'll prevent any mold from growing in this desert.
Next up, I got out another container and filled it with some sand and some of this soil to make the desert substrate.
Basically, the reason why I'm using this as the substrate is because when I put the plants and cactuses inside, this soil is going to provide a lot of nutrients, so they're able to grow nice and tall, and we get a fully fledged desert in here.
So I went and poured that on top of all of the carbon and pushed it up against the rocks to make the desert floor. But as you can see, this doesn't really look like a desert because of how much dirt I added to that substrate. So I quickly poured a thin layer of just normal sand on top so it would look like a desert once again.
Alright, this is already starting to look like a good cow killer enclosure, but to make it even better, it's time to add in some plants and decorations.
First, for the decorations, and that basically just means wood and rocks, because that's pretty much all deserts have, to be honest. They're pretty boring. First of all, I put some of this spider wood around the tank randomly and even used some of it to make little bridges across the canyons that the cow killer would be able to walk on. Then I got some of these longer sticks and put them on the side of the canyon to make it look like there were roots growing from it or something. Yeah, pretty cool.
But I did end up getting two cool decorations, which are right here. The first of which is these little logs, which are called cholla wood. And the reason these are a cool decoration is because cholla, it's a cool word to say, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and also they're good because they have all these little holes so the cow killer can run inside and then just hide and make a home in there. So yeah, that's good. And for the second cool decoration, I got a live scorpion. I'm just kidding. It's actually not a live scorpion. Oh, it's a plastic toy scorpion, but you know, it's a desert, so I think it'll fit pretty well. I'm just gonna put it right in this empty spot there. Take a look at that. Looks pretty deserty.
Now for the plants. And as you know, not many things can live in the deserts since it's so dry. So our only options are succulents and cacti, which of course are able to absorb tons of water.
But I don't have any of those types of plants. I don't know how to say it plural.
So I picked out a nice selection, and while I didn't get as good of a deal as that comment said, it still only costed like $20 for all these plants, which is pretty good. Anyways, to plant these desert plants, I shook off all the excess dirt and planted just the roots in the sand. And in no time, it was done. But the final step to finishing the cow killer's home is insects. And I've got two different species of insects I want to put in here. First of all, you already know I've got springtails, the extremely tiny white creepy bug things. And yeah, there's just like 1,000 of them in here. All these tiny little white things moving. Those are all springtails.
But these are extra important in a desert enclosure like this because every now and then I'm gonna have to go and spray each of the plants down and water them, and the springtails will make sure to eat up any extra mold that grows because of all the moisture. So yeah, they're pretty useful. Let's just dump these guys in here. Yeah, pretty good.
And second of all, I've got these things, which are mealworms.
But the real reason why I'm going to put these guys in the enclosure is because I'm kind of interested to see if the cow killer is going to go and just sting them, to be honest. I don't really know if the cow killer eats insects like this, but I guess I'm going to figure out with you guys once we put them in here.
Well, this desert enclosure is now complete. So I cut the tape and got the container out that supposedly the bug was inside.
Okay, so this is not so promising. It's just a clear plastic container with a paper towel. Well, I guess let me just carefully take the lid off and, okay, please, hopefully nothing jumps out at me.
I very carefully used some tweezers to move the paper towel into another container. And then I carefully moved around that paper towel to try and reveal the cow killer.
Oh, I think I see it in there. Wait, do you see that? Hold on, look at this. Oh, that's the cow killer. This may not look like it, but this thing right here is one of the most painful stinging insects, or not even insects, just animals in the entire world.
But I couldn't just move it straight inside of the new enclosure because first I had to build the rest of it on so it wouldn't be able to escape. Because if it did, that would be really bad.
Okay, well, it's right here, so I'm just gonna risk it for the biscuit and pick it up super carefully. And drop it. Okay, you're in your new home. Enjoy it.
Soon enough, the bug crawled out of its paper towel and started to explore around his new home. There's this insanely viral YouTube video where a guy named Coyote Peterson lets himself get stung by a cow killer. And based off of his reaction, you can tell this insect has one of the most painful stings in the entire world. Now, normally you would want to stay away from these things, but I just found a website that will sell you one as a pet.
They say this thing's called a cow killer because its sting is powerful enough to kill a literal cow. Huh, what could go wrong?
But considering the cow killer spent the last week in that shipping box, it's probably pretty hungry. So I wanted to get it fed right away.
And when you search it on Google, it says the cow killers like to eat nectar, larvae, and adult insects. So I think first I'm gonna feed them some of this insect jelly food, which I usually feed to my crickets. But basically it should replicate the nectar that they find in flowers in the wild.
So I opened up the pack of jelly and put it right in front of the cow killer. Within about a minute, it must have picked up the scent because it crawled right up to it and just stayed there looking like it was eating it.
Yo, look at the cow killer. I just put its face straight up to the jelly and is just devouring it, I'm pretty sure.
And yeah, he really just sat there for 20 whole minutes eating it, and I eventually just took the jelly away from him because I didn't want him to eat too much.
Anyways, I want to see if this cow killer is going to eat the other stuff that Google said it would eat. And one of the things it said it would eat is adult insects. And if you remember, I did put mealworms in here. Let me see if I can find one. Here we go. There's just a mealworm in the sand right there. But I just want to bring this right over to the cow killer and see if it reacts if I just drop it right next to it. Let's see what happens here.
Now, right away, the cow killer noticed the mealworm and went straight up to it. But while it even started to crawl on top of the mealworm, it didn't really seem to care at all that it was there. In fact, it kind of just put its mouth on the sand where the insect jelly was just sitting to try and suck up any of the last sugar that was there. So yeah, I guess they don't really eat insects.
Called a cow killer because they say its sting is painful enough to be able to kill a literal cow.
What?
Yeah, so basically, the reason I brought you in today is because I just want you to film me, basically letting it crawl on me, because I was just thinking, you know, like I just want to bond with it.
That sounds like a really bad idea.
So first, I'm going to start by picking up its abdomen with these tweezers. Now, don't worry, this doesn't actually hurt the bug, because it has a super strong abdomen. It's just basically like a skeleton. Oops, I dropped it.
But eventually, I picked it up again and put it inside of the container.
Okay, you got a good shot. So basically, I'm just going to start by putting this like this. I don't want to get it mad when it crawls out. I just want to let it crawl out itself.
And this will kill a cow.
Well, yeah, that's what they say, but I don't think it actually can. All I know is it's super painful.
It didn't take long until the cow killer got to the edge of the container and then stepped onto my arm.
Now we just hope and pray this doesn't sting me right now. So I don't want to make any sudden movements, because then it's going to know I'm bad and it's going to try to sting me.
Now I had to let it stay on me for at least a minute. So in the meantime, I just tried to talk with my mom to distract me.
What is the purpose of this? You want to bond with your pet?
Yeah, because everyone bonds with their dog and stuff. I just want to bond with my cow killer. You see how its sting is just like crawling along me? It could accidentally sting me at any moment.
At this point, it started to look more aggravated, and as soon as the timer hit 60 seconds, I put the container in front of it, hoping it would crawl in. But it ended up crawling around it onto the side of my arm, where it eventually fell off onto the table. So I quickly scooped it up back into its container.
We got it. That was actually really nerve-wracking. I don't know if I was saying a lot. I was actually like, my heart was pounding like 200 beats a second. But now I can say I've been bonded with a cow killer.
What are you gonna name it?
The cow killer.
The cow killer.
That's a cool name.
Now, I didn't get stung today, but I'm gonna have this pet for a while. So if you guys really want to see it, I honestly wouldn't be totally opposed to doing it. So if you want to see me get stung for a video,